I got two hands, I got my mouth, I know how to earn money.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Mass at 3:30 in the morning. Now that's one thing about the culture and or the religious community of the Philippines that I really do not understand. Oh, don't worry, I'll be going back to bed. I'm up. Usually when I'm up, but this time, after a short show, I'm going to be going back to bed. And one of the reasons I'm doing a show is because I am up and I am in disbelief that, oh, I'm not by choice. I'm not up by choice. Although it's right, I'll be getting more sleep. Oh my goodness. Why does the church system out here get these poor people up so early in the morning for mass? Well, there's like some special mass this morning. And, oh my God. Mass, yeah, yeah. This is the Philippines. Oh my goodness. It's crazy, isn't it? I mean, you would think, you would think that the church would have these masses at more appropriate times. Maybe they do this to accommodate a lot of people. They have to start early. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, this is so crazy. Yeah, yeah. On a Tuesday, that's the Philippines. It's crazier than shit. Gone there with the kids, and I wasn't going to go there because, well, I'm part of my rude yawning, but it is like 3:30 in the fucking morning. Oh, well, she had woke me up to kiss me and say she's going to go to the mass, and I said, "Well, good luck with that." That's crazy. It's not only that's crazy, but what they do out here too. I call them the Druids, and I mostly seen this when I used to rent to the other house. They'd be out at like 4 o'clock in the morning or something, and walking the streets in the dark with lanterns, chanting something. It's like out of some gothic movie or something. Chanting, waking people up that don't want to be woke up, walking by people's homes in the community at 4 in the morning or something, and chanting. I don't know, like they were druids or something, or I don't know, man, very gothic or something. I'm surprised they didn't have long black outfits on or something, or have a or have one of the nuns on roller skates. You know how they float in the movies. You know how they float. You see them in the church. These evil nuns, and they're not walking, but they're floating on the ground. Oh my goodness! Holy shite! You must not be in the Philippines, Whistler, because you were going to be up at this ungodly hour. No, I'll be going back to sleep. I'll be. Yeah. Oh. I've never understood certain things here about the culture. or the religious community, but they are devout. I mean, you got to be to go to mass at 3:34 in the morning. I mean, that's most of these people are half asleep that come there. It's like, what the fuck? Yeah, welcome to the Philippines, Whistler, whatever. That's how they do things out here. I never understood it, never claimed that I ever understood it or will ever understand it, but you would think they'd pick a more reasonable hour or time to hold mass. Oh, it'll be on Tuesday. It could be on whatever day they want it to be. You know, everybody always thinks it's Sundays and all that. No, 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 no. It's whatever they want it, and they'll get up to. God, even I got less viewers at this time in the morning. Well, I'm sure Popeye's recording. Frank is up at 3:30 in the morning doing a live stream. Well, pops, poops, I woke up early because I got a lady that was respectable to kiss me, to get me up, to let me know that she's leaving. Of course, she doesn't like to wake me up from my sleep, but she's respectable and loving enough to let me know that she's going to the mass. Gives me a nice little kiss on the lips. I'll see you when I get back, and blah, blah, blah. I mean, you don't have that, poops. You just don't have that, poops. Oh, my, oh, my. See, the problem uh, is that I'm going to apply myself to it. It's generally hard to go back to sleep once I get up. But I will. I will. No, I really do got to catch up on my sleep. That is a problem. I get an average of maybe 6 hours of sleep, but that doesn't mean that during that 6 hours I may not wake up briefly or something. And while I'm up, I figure, well, go take a leak, get that over with while I'm up. And I feel sorry for a lot of people that have these really enlarged prostates, and some people get up 8 times a night. I was listening to somebody on here that said that. Was it Jim from Asian Adventures or somebody says that? Yeah, they can get up as many 8 times a night to piss. Now that's a large, enlarged prostate or something, you know. Well, I don't want to bore you people at this hour of the morning here, and I realize even a lot of people outside of the country, the timing may not be the greatest, but hey, I'm up. I'm up, and hopefully, God, sorry about the yawning. It is early, even for me. Yeah. Oh, gee, I could hear Popeye now. Frank is so devoted. Somebody made a very poignant statement about me. It was Tesla, not Edison. That's the name of his thing. And let me see. This comment was on whose show? And basically, I don't know word for word what Tesla, not Edison, says. Um, and for the most part, it sounded very supportive of me. That the whole, I wish I had another phone I could see this on here. That basically the YouTube community basically revolves around me. And very poignant. And I wish I had word for word for what Tesla, not Edison, said on there. I thought it was quite complimentary, really. It was a little sticky at points in there, but I think he spelt it out pretty good. That he posed the question, why do some members of this community hate Frank so much? But yet, his implication on this was that, but yet they depend on Frank, that the community depends on me to be there for them, that the community would fall apart if it wasn't for me. And I would have to agree. I would have to agree with him. There we go. No, it's not that I want to be up, travel, and repeat. But I agree. Their community is very dependent on me to be there, to be the voice in the dark. Right now, literally in the voice in the dark right now. Literally. It was very, very well written. Whose show is it on? He made this comment. It was on... I don't know if it was on comments on Popeyes or... But yeah, it was very well written. I thought it was very well written. Well, if you just came on, the reason I'm on this early is because, believe it or not, Mass on a Tuesday morning, and the Mass probably begins at 4, but had to leave here after 3 with the kids, and I just think it's absurd. See, everybody's trying to test you for control. How much control, whether the governments, all of our governments, trying to test you out all the time. How much do you believe in your religion? Are you willing to get out of a deep sleep? Are you willing to go to church at 3:30 in the fucking morning? I mean, come on, give people a break. Give people a break. Oh, fuck. You're up. Now that you guys are creating a dialogue here. I gotta sneeze. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my dogs are in here with me to keep me company. And I'll tell you what, and while I'm on that, I just said my dogs are in here to keep me company. Very poignant statement at that, too. Because I'm going to tell you something, as I was always talking about on YouTube here, about being, one more sneeze. Oh, my goodness. Hold on. I want to come out, but... being alone in a foreign country. I'll tell you what. It's kind of scary. I will tell you that. I gotta blow my nose too. Yeah. Hold on. Girls, you can stay. I'll let you stay. Oh, goodness. Oh. Yeah, my sinuses have been beginning to act up again. Maybe it's the time of year or something. I don't really know. They're beginning to act up again. Well, let's cover this subject here while I'm on it. And I will tell you something. Whether it's in your own country or whether you're living in a foreign country, I will tell you. No, believe me. Like, my house is empty right now because the kids are. Well, I think they both went. Who's here? No, I'm sure they both went. Yeah, they all went to church. And I'll be honest with you, I used to be very independent. But when you're in a foreign country, stop scratching. Hey, come on. Stop scratching. My goodness. Dogs. Well, I should be sleeping, but when your partner has to get up at 3 o'clock or so in the morning to go to mass, of all things, you think they'd be a better time for the church, right? No. That's my point. I don't get up this early normally. I may get up a lot at 5 in the morning. I've done early shows, but there goes the roosters. You know what I mean? But believe me, I don't get up this early. Yeah, Jack, I should be sleeping. I should be, but I'm not. But no, after this little show here, I'm plopping myself back in bed and get a little bit more snooze. It's one thing I've been lacking. I would love to sleep an 8 hour evening, but under normal circumstances, that's not possible. I know everybody's saying, well, this is the Philippines, okay? This is the Philippines. I've been down this road before with these early masses. I don't know if it's a special mass or something. I don't know, an emergency mass or something. I don't know. But Tuesday mornings, come on, man. Give people a break. Give people a break. Well, I know, I never heard of it either. It's not the first time. So you guys are just keeping me company. But yeah, I will elaborate on this thing about living in another country. Now, you hear a lot of foreigners boasting about their wonderful life, this and that, this and that. Uh, that they're always out there active, and they got all these women and all this shit. Guys, the truth about that, most of these guys, they stand alone in the dark. Yeah, 7 a.m. would be a little more reasonable. Yeah. You would think. Scary shit. It's scary shit. How many times we were awakened, but not over here, but where I used to live. Sasa, come inside. Come on. Come on. She's looking for the boys. Where the boys are. Look, I could sing at 4 o'clock in the morning here. I could still sing. Where does Frank get his energy? Where does Frank get this tenacity to deal with certain things? But I do. Go figure. I do. But back on the thing about the foreigners living out here, the expats, they're kidding themselves, but they're kidding you. Because nobody wants to be alone in a foreign country. Jack says, so who cares about them? Just do your own. I'm doing my own thing, brother. I absolutely am. You know, I'm the voice in the dark for many people actually out there. For those that are not familiar with me, I've been on YouTube for a lot of years. You don't see a lot of subs and all that because I've had, other channels, but I've had a lot of subs. A lot meaning my best was like 13,000. But I've gotten off voluntarily sometimes and sometimes accidentally when I hit the wrong button instead of hide the channel. I deleted everything. Yeah, well, I've done that kind of silly stuff before. Now, this was a great hour for Popeye right now because, if it's 4 o'clock over here, it's somewhere around 4 p.m. prior to his dinner time. Perfect to have Frank on at a more appropriate hour for him because, well, what has he got to do with his life? Nothing. But, yeah, 13,000 is good. You should have kept. No, I fucked up was what happened. Sometimes I get pissed off with everything on here, and maybe want to take a break, and I'll just fuck it, I'll just put the channel on hide and watch all the cockroaches come out and scurry around and figure, where's Frank? His channel's gone. We got him off. No, they never got me off. It was voluntarily, but what I did was you got two little bullets on there, and you either hit hide channel or delete. Well, I hit delete. And they realized what I did, and I couldn't get back on, and I lost all my videos. And this is for real stuff. Yeah, it's for real. 13,000 subs, whether bought or earned or whatever. I had 13,000 subs. Gone just like that. And I didn't keep, you know, I didn't keep all my videos on another drive or something. I didn't. And I usually don't. I usually don't. And imagine losing that. So that gives you the story of that. Oh, oh yeah, 3 p.m. Oh, what's the time here? Oh, it's 4 o'clock here. Oh, fall back, you spring forward, right? Okay. Yeah, there you go. No, I don't like getting up this early, contrary to what you might believe. I'm not that much of in a hurry to come on and do a live stream on YouTube at 3 o'clock in the fucking morning. I'm not big on doing a live stream at 5 o'clock in the morning, which is 5 or so or 6 in the morning. I'll do some live streams. And that's a little more acceptable. But see, I don't get appropriate sleep. I wake up early. And the best I get is 6 hours of sleep a night. Don't matter what time I go to bed, I'll probably wake up the same time every freaking morning. Yeah, 3 p.m. there. Well, I got 7 people in here anyway. Does that include me? Does it include myself? And 2 thumbs up, which means the rest of them are trolls. Okay, we got it. But if anybody is contemplating actually living in the Philippines, if you don't already, and if you do, I will tell you, there were times I made trips when I wasn't actually living out here, where I've made trips to the Philippines, and I've had a few moments where I was kind of in between meeting anybody out here, you know. And even if there was, I mean, they're not always available 24 hours a day. Any woman they might have met or was contemplating on meeting. And I will tell you exactly how I felt. If you're not big on it, why not do it? Well, I'm doing it right now. And I remember a few times. Now, this is before I met my partner that I've been with now for almost 10 years, coming February anyway, not there yet. And it was times, I was just free falling, I was just a freelancer, and free falling, where I didn't have a particular woman to meet at one point on one trip. Or I was meeting up with somebody, but they weren't like staying with me or something, And I will tell you, you're in your hotel room at night, waking up to a morning without somebody at your side. And you're thinking, okay, what's my next move? What am I doing now? I'm in a big city. What am I doing now? Believe me, I had lonely moments out here during my visiting days. Especially one trip when I really thought I had 30. I wasn't even going to go. I was in Hawaii. And any women or whatever that I met before or whatever, or maybe one time it didn't work out and I was pretty emotionally destroyed by one gal that I met very disappointed too. I said, fuck it, I'm not going back to the Philippines. I said, fuck it. But what happened was, at one point, I already bought the tickets, paid for, already even paid for my lodging. I remember turning to my brother and saying, I don't even know if I even want to go. Maybe I'm going to forfeit all the money I spent on the tickets, a hotel, whatever. I say, fuck it. Yeah, that happened. Then I said, fuck it, I'm going to go. I couldn't see wasting all that money. So I went. And as it turned out, very well for me, actually. If you're not big on what, why do it? I still don't know what you meant by that. Kept the channel. Well, I explained that. But I wound up going, and it was a good thing I did. Now, I could have met up with some prior female contacts that I've met before, but, and I could name names, but it just wasn't worth it to me. But I was getting that desperate that I didn't have anybody lined up to meet on that trip. It was a month. It was a month I was going to be in the Philippines, 29 days before I had to leave, So I came out. I'm thinking, okay, what now? Well, I could have met Nika and her mother and father and socialized with her. She's the girl in the wheelchair that I supposedly molested. I molested a girl in a wheelchair. Can it get any better than that? Well, it does actually get better than that, but I could have because I wanted to do my documentary style shit. The life of somebody in that situation, document the living conditions, which I did prior actually. But just the first few days of the month, actually, I came out, and I didn't particularly want to get together with Joy because she because she took advantage of me. She was trying to hit me up on money and everything else. A really user. It wasn't my best choices of companionship, but I was that desperate at the moment that I just wanted to call her up. Okay, let's get together and hang out. A few days came in a month, okay, well, who do I want to meet up with? Then I remember talking to Gilda briefly, because actually, the contact was on a dating site. But it was kind of funny because it wasn't Gilda. It was her and her friend. It was a friend responding to me just to have some fun. And it was actually her friend that was communicating me. That's how it happened. It was one of her best friends. Hey, let's talk to this guy, let's talk to this guy. But then she wound up getting, communicating with me and kept her number, right? Kept her number. So when I was out, visiting for that month, the first few days of the month, I think it was, I decided to call her, and it was her, not her friend, and she was available. And I said, okay, well, do you remember who I am? And she was like, okay, oh, that's right. But it was her friend that was talking to me originally, not her. Then she remembers, oh yeah, this guy. And she said, okay, I'll meet you. And she met me over at Robinson's at Fuente. It's where we met. Decided to meet up anyway. And she did. She did come over. And that was the beginning of the story with that. We've been together ever since. It worked out very well. It was a fluke of a situation, though. It was almost like fate let us meet, if you want to believe in faith, because it worked out. Very strange how things happen, that the future is set for you. You don't know who you're going to be with, but the shadow knows. I mean, the whole thing is very bizarre anyway. This New York boy who never had any plans to go anywhere outside of New York winds up living in Seattle, Washington, well, north of Seattle, 25 fucking years. Then winds up living in Hawaii for like, I don't know, 14 years. It's more really, but I wasn't living there because I came to the Philippines and I was renting the place out to my brother and to a tenant. And so it's really more. I say I've owned the house for at least 15 years or whatever. I don't know. I don't know who's counting. And how things turned out. Bizarre. I mean, I would never think about the Philippines at one point in my life. Except when I was living in Hawaii, I did date an American Filipina living in Hawaii. Almost 3 years. And that's where my anxiety came in. I go back and I look back on this and I said, I used to have some bouts of anxiety now and then, right? But then, after meeting this woman I was with nearly 3 years, it got to a point where her real personality was coming out, and she became more of a burden to me than anything else. And she raised my anxiety levels where I've never had it on a regular basis. And I swore after her I'd never have anything to do with the Philippines or a Filipina. Ever. Ever. But look at me now. After her, I wound up getting interest in the Philippines, hearing all about it, And that's when I started making trips to the Philippines. And, let me tell you something. Once you visit the Philippines, you get fascinated with it. You're drawn to it. You're going to go back again. Never mind all the negative things they say about the Philippines. You get caught up in the culture and the mayhem and everything else. Believe me, you do. You get caught up in all that. Come on, boy. Regurgitate a few syllables on here. And that's what happened with me. I got caught up in it. Next thing you know, I'm not only, contemplating the idea of making another trip or whatever, but it got to a point, especially after I met somebody special who I'm with now, I'm now living in the Philippines. Nevertheless, at one point, I wanted nothing to do with Filipinos at all. Back in Hawaii when I was dating one. Here I am, nearly 10 years later. Imagine that. How does things work? Is this a good story, Popeye? I want to make sure I'm giving you the material you need. I just want to make sure. Can I step it up for you a little bit, Popeye? I don't know how I want to step it up. You're just going to have to go with the flow of my live stream this morning. That's all I could do for you. Okay. No, I'll rest. I can't mean to fall back to sleep, but I will rest after my live stream. I will rest. But no, I don't. It gets to the point that you don't like being alone. You don't. Of course, I got my 2 girls here, my 2 dogs. Keep me companion, like Popeye's got his little foo-foo dog to go to bed with, I got my 2 girls here. They come in my room, lay down on the floor near me, protect me, and to be with your daddy. And it's comforting. But no, I could not see And I don't know how some of these expats do it. I really don't know. Or the ones that claim they're getting all these women. They're so full of shit. Now, they're getting one night stands that they pay for. That's what they're doing. Someone's talking to Timmy, who was actually blocked on here, but apparently they're able to see him. And what is Timmy talking about, Mr. Whistler? That you're responding to him? Yes, I believe that is true. What did Timmy say? All right, point being made that don't believe all these people. You know, when Big Kevin went to Thailand, oh, Timmy says that most Americans don't have passports. Oh, I never needed one because I was not traveling around anywhere when I lived in Hawaii. I didn't. No, I got a passport when I was in yeah, it was Hawaii. It was Hawaii. I got it from the local library. That's where my got my paperwork for an application. And you were also able at the time to get it at the post office. First time, yeah. So I was interested in traveling to the Philippines, and that's why I got it. True, most Americans probably don't have passports, or maybe don't have the need for one. Okay, but getting back to the point, I don't believe a lot of what these guys say. They act like they're so goddamn independent. But I'm going to tell you something, the truth. As you're getting older, you're retired or whatever, you don't want to be alone. No, no. Now, my girlfriend is always around me. Well, if she has things to do, she'll do it, you know. And she makes trips without me to Cebu when she has to, like, for example, she has to go to a wedding, things like that come up. But it's not always comfortable for me. And you start thinking, what if something medically happens to me and there's nobody in the house? It's things like this you got to think about, you know. Something happened to me. Is a neighbor going to know about it? Who would know about it? So don't believe, don't believe a lot of these expats. They don't need anybody. They don't mind being alone and independent. I don't buy that. I'm sorry. I don't buy that. Because I know I'm not always, I used to be very independent prior to this relationship. I mean, you know, despite having a pretty good number of women in my life, in between it was always very lonely. Whether it was Seattle or whether it was Hawaii. No, that was never comfortable for me. No, not really. Not really. I didn't like it, but I dealt with it. So I've had my moments of loneliness, and there were times I liked it, but I think for the most part I didn't like it. But as you get older, your mind starts thinking differently, right, Poops? Poops has his daughter living there. If she wasn't living there, he'd be even more bitter than he is now. And he'd be really spending a lot of time on YouTube, I'm sure. Whistler says, same thing in the USA. What happens if you have the medical emergency alone at home? Yeah, the horrible things, you see these stories on the internet where people have died and nobody known about it. It's really disgusting. There's actually a show about a cleanup crew. It's a hazard crew. They clean up after people's death. And they got to wear like a spacesuit practically. After a few days or so, the body is starting to melt on the floor. It's disgusting. Fluids come out of the body and the smell comes out, and there's like blood, it seems like, all over the bed or floor. And believe it or not, these bodies actually leave an impression on the floor or a bed. It's gross. It's gross. Too gross to talk about in the morning. Yeah, having a medical emergency alone at home, who's going to know? And if you have an animal and they can't get out of the house, that animal's going to be eating your ass up. For sure. For sure. Your devoted pet that loves you to death has a natural instinct to survive. And whether you're the owner of this dog who's been feeding and loving this dog, that dog's going to eat your ass. I don't know how I come up with this stuff so early in the morning. For God's sakes. But that's gross. They got to peel the bodies off the bed or the floor. These little cleanup crews that do this shit after they find a body that's been in the house for a while. And the thing is, a lot of these older dudes, not just older dudes though, not just older, all ages, if they have nobody to check up on them, you know, maybe your family's all dead, maybe you don't have any friends, and the only maybe time they might check on you if you actually have a job and you're working and you haven't showed up for work, they may have the police go and do a wellness check on you or something. That's how they discover you. You could be laying in the house for months and nobody's even going to fucking know. Unless you get the newspaper delivered to you in the States, and then it's piling up like crazy and the neighbor maybe notices it, or maybe notices that your car hasn't been driven in a while and you haven't seen the person come out even to get the newspaper or whatever. But what if you live semi-rural where your neighbor's not near you, they don't see you coming in and out of your house? Something to think about, man. I'm going to tell you, that's some scary shit. But the one thing good about me, there's a lot of things good about me, actually. But the one thing fortunate about me that I don't take very lightly is that I will have somebody at my side till the day I die. I'm not going to die alone. Well, hopefully a long time from now. But I'm not going to die alone. Well, she may be out of the house. She may be on a trip to Cebu with the kids for a certain family type of engagement thing. Somebody has to be home here with the dogs. I've had that happen more than a few occasions, actually. Hold on. The one thing you're supposed to do when you get up is to drink a bunch of water. Because you're basically dehydrating overnight. You want to call it overnight, but if I got up this early, and you get room temperature water, actually. But yeah, there's been occasions where she's had to go out of town to Cebu or Leyte. Hold on, I gotta drink something here. See, a lot of my viewers like to listen rather than to talk. It's almost like they just like hearing my voice. I'm the voice of reason. I'm the voice of the season. I'm the voice in the dark. And I'm going to tell you something about my show. Laugh if you want, but it's actually true. I've had people tell me, all seriousness, that it was really soothing to listen to my shows, because to them it was like a fireside chat. And there's a lot of lonely people that do listen to my show. Don't kid yourself. And when there's nobody else to listen to on here and I do a show, people show up. They show up. May not in big numbers, but they show up. And I actually comfort people. You laugh all you want, Popeye or whatever, but actually it's true. You're there listening to me or simulcasting me, so what does that tell you? Right there, Bubba? What does that tell you? And it's, you know what? It's kind of nice to know that. I'll tell you what, my own daughter, which, we really don't communicate, I'm sure that she probably listens to my show a lot. Because on one hand, maybe she don't want to be in my life physically, to visit or actually to verbalize me on a phone or whatever. The way she has me in her life is by listening to my YouTube shows. Because, and I stated this before, that on one hand, well, you'd think she wants something to do with me, whatever her issues are, she could still be in my life by listening to my show. So she's living her life vicariously through me. It's like she's in my life, but she's not. She will not admit. She will not admit that she misses talking to me. But as stubborn as she is, she's getting a little bit of what she wants. I'm still in her life by listening to my shows. So she knows what's going on with my life without having to talk to me on the phone and asking me these questions and admitting the fact that she misses me. But you ever hear anybody that's stubborn? Well, she is. No shitting around on that. She is that stubborn. But one day I'll be gone. That's inevitable. And she has to live with herself, and that's the way I see it. Family, right? Family. You're responsible for giving your child life. And by giving her life, she had a life where she now has children of her own, loving children of her own. But she wouldn't have these children if she didn't have any life. Or as Frankenstein says, I am your creator. And I am her creator. Because without me, she wouldn't be walking the earth. And she wouldn't have met anybody to have children, her loving children, which are my grandchildren. If it wasn't for me, I gave her life. And then she gave life to 5, count them, other children. But they don't appreciate that. No, they don't. Like I always say, you can't force people to do something they don't want to do. But do I think she listens to my shows? I don't mean every single day. She could be working, I don't know. But she does. She'll tune in on my shows. I'm more than reasonably sure of that. She don't hate me. It's not like that. She's stubborn. Stubborn as a mule. Like her dad, I'm pretty stubborn. We have things in common. A few things anyway. Our stubbornness, that's the number one. But all the lonely people, where did they come from? And there's a lot of lonely YouTubers out there, man. Or viewers that listen to a lot of things on YouTube. They actually live vicariously. I give you an example, 8 miles from home, who has a very popular YouTube channel. He's got the family thing going, the dog and all that stuff, the British accent. A couple comes from Britain. They're living in Surgal. People regard them as their family. They're interested in everything. Well, they're interested in me too. A little differently, but they depend on listening to 8 Miles. They want to know what's happening with the new baby. They need to know. They actually need to know. They don't have a family of their own. These YouTubers become their family. And they get really involved and they get really sucked up into it, man. I am probably family to numerous people, including trolls on here on YouTube. I'm the voice in the dark that they listen to. And sometimes literally, not figuratively. And as some guy made a poignant statement and he went by the name of Tesla, not Edison. I seen his comment the other day on a comment section of, I'm thinking it was Popeye's show. And he said, why does so many people hate Frank so much? But then he kind of went on, and I don't have it in front of me. I wish I could read it word for word because I thought it was interesting. It was poignant, it was interesting, even factual, that there's a lot of people, even though I don't have the numbers on here, but there's a lot of people who have been following me since I ever had a show. They know all the details about me from when I first started vlogging, what I talked about. It's almost like they take notes. Well, they do better than that. They copy my shows. That's why we have a copycat channel, that I'm so important in their lives that they have to record my... Can you imagine that? That they have to record my shows and actually have a channel devoted to me? Devoted to me. Can you imagine that? Wow, I've arrived. I really have in their lives. They don't want to miss a thing about what I talk about. Of course, with the trolls, they want to try to catch me in some catchphrase or something that they might, regard as being something very negative they could use against me or something. But imagine that these people spend so much time in their life to listen to me, to record me, to replay my videos, to simulcast me. Boy, I have arrived, as the expression goes. I have arrived. That I'm that important to them. I mean, I don't know anybody else who does this on here, out there, that are actually simulcasting people because they're so important in their lives that, and then have the balls to put critique on me after they simulcast me. And Popeye's favorite line is, well, there you go. Well, there you go. Well, there you go, Popeye. You'd be simulcasting me again. You're awfully lonely, dude. Because nobody does that. Unless they're awfully lonely. Warren did that. Remember Warren? He's still on. Different name. Surprised the motherfucker's alive. Warren did that. I mean, note for note. A booklet in writing. Key points that Frank says. Key notes that things that Frank said. All my recordings, written and video. Who does that shit? Unless you are so blasted fucking lonely and there's nothing going on in your life and you're in a desperation mode. I'm not that important. I don't see how. But I am important in their lives. It's a phenom. It's phenomenal, really, as Jim likes to say. It's phenomenal. But I am that voice in the dark to numerous people on here. Some people say, oh, I never listened to his show. Only reason I know what Frank said on the show because somebody sent me a link to his show. Bullshit. Big E's one of them. He listens to me all the time. I don't look at Frank's show, he says. I'm the Big E. People just send me things. No. He listens to me all the time. Of course he does. He needs to know what's going on. So what does that say? That there's a lot of things that are not going on in people's lives where they make me so important. And I may not have all the subs, but the people who do listen in, they're there. Or they'll catch my live show later on if they didn't, after it's been recorded or something on the Frank Battaglia replay channel. Can you imagine that? I'm that important to people. And they're all in a state of denial that I'm not important in their lives. But they're there. simulcasting me, recording my shows. It is phenomenal. It's crazy, in fact. Maybe because I have a lot to say that some people are afraid to say. Nothing's ever held me back on here when I have something to talk about. That's one of the reasons they listen to me. But you will have people that they don't want to miss a trick. Something they could use against me, perhaps in a court of law. I never seen people in my life put so much energy into me. Little old Frank, that puts so much energy and time into me. Am I that important to your life? I mean, I'm flattered in one way, baffled in other ways. Why am I that important to your life that you need to know everything? But look at Brevis, who's followed me since I've ever been on YouTube. And he admitted it. I'm your biggest fan, he said. Oh boy. Uh-oh. Play Misty for me. Play Misty for me. Scary shit, that guy. As far as Whistler, you're saying the same thing in the USA. What happens? You have a medical emergency alone at home. Yeah, that gets scary. I mean, I always tell my girlfriend, I said, keep your Facebook on for Messenger in case there's an emergency or something. Because you never know. I used to be fairly independent, really. Because I've lived alone most of my life, really. I was only married, I was together with one woman for about 7 years total between marriage and not marriage. Other than that, this here is my longest relationship. Otherwise, there's one woman that was a year, that was a doctor's daughter in Seattle. Okay. And then there was a Filipina in Hawaii, about shy of 3 years. But all that time in between, very independent. I had nobody cooking for me. I had nobody cleaning for me. No, I did it all myself. I had my lonely moments, let me tell you. We all have our lonely moments. Some will admit to it and some won't, but I certainly have. As independent as I was, if I wasn't in a relationship, I see other couples saying, damn, I wish I had that. I wish I had a serious enough relationship that was worthwhile keeping. It's one thing to go in and out of these women all the time, flying from one to another, which I did. I know, some people don't believe me. Oh, Frank, you never had that many women in your life. We talked about it on here. Well, I did indeed, Popeye. I know you've only had one woman in your life, and that was a whore on the round table in Subic Bay that was giving you a blowjob under the table, you and your Navy buddies. I guess he wound up marrying her. Then she left his ass later on. That's so funny, man. That's so fucking funny. The guy's been alone ever since, man. That's why he's so bitter. Don't live your life vicariously through me, Popeye. You're not dead yet. As long as you could draw a breath, you're still alive, Robert. Find yourself a fucking woman or something, man. I'm not interested in you in that way, dude. I know you're attracted to me because you wouldn't go as far as you do with me and simulcast me and the only thing you ever talk about when you do a show is me, mostly. That says something right there. As they say, I'm living in his head rent free. You can almost feel sorry for the bastard. Not having intimacy with a real live woman for how many decades? And Frank becomes his centerpiece? Really, Robert? I'm your center? of your universe? And I am. There's no question about it, I am. Look at the time you devote for me, even simulcasting me. And I know all your viewers are saying the same thing. They're not going to say it to you because they're going to kiss up to you so they can make comments about me and attack me, but it's because they know that's what you want to hear. So what they do, Popeye, is they appease you. They're laughing at you at the same time. You don't hear them laughing at you, but they know what you're going to do a show about. They know you're going to be attacking me. They know that already. They know that. And they're not laughing with you, they're laughing at you, Robert Clausen. They're laughing at you and how far you go and your devotion to me, your obsession with me. Pretty sick, dude. Pretty sick. And they all know that. But they just appease Popeye, that's all. They come on there, okay, let's see what Popeye's going to say this time. Anything new? Or it's the same fucking rhetoric. Every single time he does a show or a simulcast meeting, he does this famous little speech, soliloquy after he does the show. And his famous words, well, there you go. Well, there you go. Popeye, you're predictable, man. You're so goddamn predictable. Change it up a little bit at least. Stop putting old videos on that they've seen countless times. They're quite familiar with it. And they know whether these videos are bullshit or not, too. They know that. But you're too alone, Popeye. You know, and not just Popeye, but he's a key figure here. The fact that even right now he might be simulcasting me. I am his world. I'm his world, other than his daughter living there. I'm the next best thing to a fucking bitch. To him. That's sad. Well, if my daughter's listening, hello, Shauna, how you doing? How's the kids? I have a few people listening to me. I have my friend Bill in Washington State. We don't talk on any regularity at all. And we have our little quirks. But Bill and his son Lucas, because Lucas is pretty much living there, I think, over in Ocean Shores. Right, Bill? Bill listens to me all the time. Bill might even be under a troll name account or something. I can name a few people that I know are listening to me. There's also Ken from Seattle. I worked with him at the Parks Department. I know Ken listens to my show. I know he does. Oh, I'm sure he does. I know there's certain people that listen to me that don't want to make themselves known that they're actually listening to me, but I know they are. My daughter, Bill Halterman from Ocean Shores, Washington, right? Ken, Kenneth B. Anderson, who now, who knows where he's living, will he retreated back to Seattle or not? He left to go live in Thailand for a while. And that got old for him. Then he didn't know what he wanted to do with his life. So he went back to go stay in Hawaii, actually. And Ken's interest was never really Hawaii, because I lived there and was visiting there. That's how Ken got interested in Hawaii. And Ken was living in Hawaii for a while. Last off that I known in the Honolulu area. But I think that got so expensive for Ken, it's quite possible he decided to go back to Thailand again. But their crazy visa laws in Thailand going back and forth. Who knows where he is? Who knows if Ken is even alive? His brother died a little bit early. I don't even know if Ken's even alive. I assume he is. He's a little older than me. But I got people that listen to me on a regular basis. and they're living their lives vicariously through me, which in some ways is sickening, in some ways it's flattering, according to how you want to look at it, really. But I'll tell you what, I do got to get off. I appreciate your companionship this morning, but I got my girls here. But I will tell you, again, don't buy all this nonsense from people on here that they're so independent. Some guys go crazy. There's Philippines antics. And where did I see this, actually? This one guy. Was he in Thailand or Philippines? The guy actually went out of his monkey-ass mind. I mean, literally. On the street, making strange noises and expressions. He looks like an Auschwitz victim. He's down to skin and bones. On the streets, begging. There's another guy that hangs around at 7-Eleven somewhere, getting donations, opening the door to 7-Eleven because they allow him to do it, opening the door for customers. These are people that were shit on by some Filipinos that took all their money. Everybody has a story. Like every man had a story, but now he's dead. Foreigners that come here and they fail so horribly, or they are the victim of some Filipina who took all their money, left them to die. It's happening more and more. Oh, they wanted to live in the Philippines. They put their trust in a Filipina, you know. They're not all bad, but they're not all good either. Guys lost their whole fortunes on a Filipina. Wound up in the streets. Kicked out of their own house that they bought. Well, that ain't happening with me here, I'll guarantee you that. I'm very fortunate for that. I'll be here till the day I die, and she'll be with me till the day I die. She will be at my side, but I can't say that for a lot of other YouTubers out here, that they're going to have somebody by their side when they need them. Believe me, look at people like Big Kevin. No offense, Big Kevin, but you tried the Thailand thing and the Vietnam thing. It didn't work for you. No, it wasn't a vacation. You were moving out of your aunt's basement. You meant it. You want to start a new life, which was great that you had the incentive, the motivation to do it. But the fact is, it wasn't a vacation, as you said, Kevin. You failed. You were so fucking lonely in your room. And you couldn't walk around a lot because of your leg. You couldn't even walk to the ocean. It was not even that far away. But you would walk to the local 7-Eleven to buy all that ramen because you spent all the money on these prostitutes, bar girls, to keep you company, buying them drinks, so you had some female or anybody to talk to. That was sad, Kevin. That's a very sad story. Kevin doesn't want you to know how bad he failed. They're not going to admit it, but we all know better. We don't buy his story. He wasn't getting all these extraneous, erroneous women. Not at all. He's never got laid. I'll guarantee you he's never got laid. Since he left his aunt's basement. Now, because of his failure, he's back in his aunt's basement again. Business as usual. He's probably eating more, probably gaining back all the weight. And by the way, if you're listening, Kevin, or anybody else who's taking Ozempic, you know, that new weight loss drug, goes under another name too. Very, very dangerous product. Don't do it again, Kevin. Very dangerous product. But Kevin's got this, It's like that fucking mosquito that won't leave you alone, buzzing around your ear, and that's his obesity. And it's been a real big challenge for Kevin to lose, and he did a wonderful job, but it was with Ozempic. Ozempic. He's lucky he's alive. That's a very problematic drug for a lot of people that use it. But now that he's back in his aunt's basement, I guarantee he's going to he's going to gain weight again. He's back to the availability of a Western food, back to his donuts and everything else he always eats. It's a shame because people have actually spent money on Kevin to lose weight. That if he lost certain weight, Biggie said, "I'll give you a ticket to go to Thailand," which I guess he did when Kevin had lost a certain amount of poundage. But the last time I saw Kevin, he was gaining weight, and now he's back in America. Damn, I would. The last time I seen him on camera, he gained weight. And holy shit, Jay Stillman, Abo man. Fucking A, man. Crikey. I saw him on his videos in Bali. The fucker must have gained 25 pounds easily. His face is all pluffed out. Nobody takes care of themselves. I don't get it. It's one thing of being footloose and fancy free, but let me tell you, if you're not taking care of yourself, man, don't have somebody to take care of you. You're in a really lousy situation. Which I don't want to be my situation. No, I don't want to be in that position. If I got fucking deported out of this country, I'd have to make the best of it, wouldn't I? If that ever happened, I don't think that's going to happen. Play devil's advocate, whatever, but if that ever happened, it would be a concern. But knowing me, knowing myself that I am a survivor, I wouldn't be alone. That doesn't mean I'll be cheating on my partner here. I would find activities to do and explore a new culture. And I'd always be talking to her every single day. How many times a day? Always. When I had to be away from her for about 14 months because of the COVID thing. I was in Hawaii, she's in the Philippines. I had no choice about the situation. I couldn't come back. But we communicated. I didn't miss a trick. I knew how the dogs were doing, how she was doing, how the kids were doing. She knew everything about me. She knew about my feelings, my emotions, what I was feeling while I was in Hawaii away from her. It's called communicating. Keep it in touch. You're never alone. There are people there that have been having LDR, long-distance relationships with a Filipino for years. And they still don't come to the Philippines to see him, but they consider it a relationship. It's not really. But unless you meet somebody, that's a relationship. I'm sorry, but then again, years ago before internet, they used to have pen pals. Remember that? Pen pals? You know, that goes back a long time. People communicating with a foreigner person, pen pal, overseas, somebody that they be in touch with all the time, their pen pal buddy. Oh, they talk about their personal stuff, their life and everything, till maybe one day they meet or they don't meet. But eventually maybe they'd meet up. It's the same thing, but in modern times you got, social media on here. Don't need to write any long letters. Becomes a big chore. But there's actually some people that actually write letters out there. I don't know who. They got email now. Who needs to write a physical letter to anyone? Who needs to do that? Fuck, who even needs a post office anymore? Tell you the truth. Who needs a post office? Surprised post offices are still around, but they lost a lot of business when the internet came around. They lost a lot of business. So they just raised their prices to make up for it, right? Hello, roosters. I know the theme song of all these lonely people. Hello, darkness, my old friend. Here we go. I come to speak with you again. A lot of people living dark lives out there. Like you, Robert. You know, I could almost feel sorry for the guy if he wasn't such an asswipe. I could almost feel sorry for him. But the one thing I got going, Papa, I got a lot of things going over you and some of the other trolls. I know for a fact, whether I have a peso to my name, that my partner's not going anywhere and I'm not going anywhere. She's not ousting me out of her life. She will be at my side to the day I draw my last breath. And a lot of people can't say that about themselves. That's the one thing I have, besides my own dignity, that a lot of these trolls don't have. We got one guy out there, and the only reason he has women is because his wallet may be a little thicker than some people, and the only reason these women are sticking around him is because of that wallet. He knows it internally. He knows it. He's not going to admit that. It goes for some other people on here too. They're not going to admit that because the truth is, prior to meeting these women, marrying them, having mistresses, harems, we know it's all based on money. And if he lost, well, people lost their money, do you honestly think that these women would be with them? Understand something. When I met my girlfriend, she had hide nor hair of knowing what my net worth was. Whether I had a fucking dime to my name other than the transportation money to go out there to visit her or whatever. She never asked. I never told. She didn't know. She could have made the assumption because I was a foreigner that I had money, and a lot of Filipinos do that. But she didn't know. She never asked. What was that? D. Cook mentioned you in her. She never asked. She didn't care. That's not how it went down with us, you know. She developed an attraction and likeness for me when we actually physically met. And we've been together ever since, folks. Ever since. And remember all the fucking trolls. All the trolls out there that said, we give Frank 6 weeks. To my relationship, I always remember that. Remember, my long-term memory is fantastic. 6 weeks they gave me. It's now, in coming February, going to be 10 years, folks. 10 years, Popeye. 10 years. And it has nothing to do with money. Oh, I've accumulated a little bit of money here and there in the bank. Sure, over time, being out here, selling the house, still having money left over from a home I had in Seattle and some other little ventures. But, you know, she didn't know what the hell I had in the bank. And most people on here with their grand delusions. Frank is broke. Frank is broke. If I'm broke, how could I afford these kidney stone operations? And how do I afford buying appliances and doing this and doing that? How do I afford this shit? They say, well, he's only living on a small pension. Well, Social Security. How does he do it? Then they laugh. And one of the events was that my girlfriend did some dealings with another Filipina, a little investment situation. Had nothing to do with land, absolutely nothing to do with land. And actually, it was really good. 2 years straight. And yet, a woman, and we actually collected it. It took this long, but we collected what she owed us. But what the trolls don't know is that it was a really good return. Who gets 10% per month? At the starting point, it was a teaser. We got 20%. Then it went down to 10%. And for several years, the investment money that she did, we got most of that back from the interest we were getting on this little venture, let's call it. We got every month, on top of my Social Security, I was making about $1,800 more dollars per month. And over the years, whatever we had invested, we got most of it back. But the way it works, though, if we wanted our money, we wanted to back out of the situation, we would have got all our money returned. But what happened was, and let's get the record straight here, is that she had clients that were dealing with her, but then they were starting to not pay her. That's what happened. And as a result of that, she could not give that interest money to those people who were dealing with her, I mean my girlfriend, because her clients were not paying, running into financial hardships. And it put her in a bad situation. It's not that she's an evil person. It's just that shit happens. And if she's not getting, there's people that, she wasn't just, she was lending out money to some people. She was lending out money. What she did with the other people was kind of based on a 5-6. It wasn't a 5-6 with us. A little bit different dealing what we had going, but the people who were doing the 5-6 thing with her, they weren't able to pay after a while. Then it added up. COVID came too. That was bad for her. And then, well after COVID, they found themselves in position they couldn't pay this woman back the money. So it also put her in a really bad situation. And that's why what happened was, where we wanted our money back and we couldn't get it back. That's what happened. Because she couldn't. She put herself in a bad position and in turn put people in a bad position. It's not that she was out to scalp us. No. We had money coming in every single month for 2.5 to 3 years. 2.5 to 3 years every month on time. It added to my Social Security. And it really helped us out. Without having to go into the bank to spend any money at all. So as it turned out, we did settle. And we agreed, forget about the interest, which was 500,000 pesos alone in interest, actually, over the. We agreed on getting our investment back, but unfortunately without the interest, which was quite a bit, 500,000 pesos. But that's okay, because we made that interest back through the almost 3 years we were dealing with her. It worked out for us. So finally, it came to a settlement, pay us what she owes. Apparently, she got things going again. Afraid of estafa charges. Oh, yeah, we were pissed. But we also understood what was going on with her, too, though. She wasn't a bad person. And she's not a bad person, but she came into situations, and it happens a lot. Things are going real well for you, and all of a sudden something happens. People weren't paying her. And she was making money left hand over right, you know. That's why she went out and bought herself a car, but she was making payments. She went out and did a pre-sale in a condo in IT Park. And she had bought some local land. She had to forfeit all of that. All of that had to be forfeited. Didn't work out for her. But recently, we just got all the money back, minus the interest, which we didn't care at this point. We said, fuck the interest. Just get the principal balance. Just get the principal back. And we'd be more than happy with that. So that's a story that turned out well. Turned out well. But you have to understand, if you're going to deal with any Filipinos out here, I suggest, more than not, that you don't. Because a lot of people have got burned pretty bad. We happen to know the woman very well. That's why we trusted her. But then, even though we had trust, you're dealing with your own fucking money. And you don't want to lose it. You put your trust in somebody, but then shit happens, even to her. And gets to a point that she can't pay you anymore. That's what happened. Nothing to do with land. And land was nothing to do with this. The only land that was ever involved had nothing to do with an outside source. No loans, nothing like that. We found a piece of land near the port, and I emphasize near the port because land tends to go pretty high on an outside area, particular barangay near the port. And we had acquired a really nice lot, a big lot, and the person had illness. They were moving back to mainland America, and we had bought the land at a good price. They didn't want to put it on the market and have to potentially wait for a couple of years for somebody to buy, because land does not always sell that easily here on the island, certainly not quickly, unless your price is actually going to be attractive that will get investors. So we got turned on to this, and we bought it at a very reasonable price. And it didn't take long for us, but we pushed it. And we wound up selling the land because I wasn't planning to build. I had no intention of building anything, nor building a house or becoming a landlord. God forbid, a landlord again. So we sold the land at a hefty profit. Even my confidant, my old confidant, doesn't know that because I didn't tell him everything. And we did fairly well. So much for you knowing everything about me, or pretending to. We're not broke here. Not even close. And then she has her own money. She has her own money. Family money, having to do with her father, who had owned quite a few pieces of land. It was basically kind of a sharecropping thing, was his business with this. and farmers would basically lease the land like they do here in America. My brother's wife did that. Harvest season, they'd get a certain amount of money. But when he died, he left the land to his children. And my girlfriend had to be one of his children. So she's not broke. She didn't need to be with me because she thought I had money. She's financially independent. Sure, I could have had her say, hey, come on, put half your money into this house. I could have done that. I didn't want to. The house was a purposeful sale, not just for a place for me to live, and I didn't have to pay rent, but it was something for her future. I didn't expect her to put any money into the house. No, I didn't. It was okay. It was planned that way. Because I wanted a future for her. I wanted her to feel even more secure. So that when I croak, that she will be in a position with her own little portfolio and with the house, that she doesn't have to worry about spending her money on a house and just concentrate on her future. And then people were laughing when they said, oh, gee, Frank has these water dispenser machines. Well, she does. Well, I got news for you. Laugh, laugh. Doesn't own that many, but I tell you what, it brings in, about 26,000 pesos a month. Not a lot of money. That alone could rent you a nice place, 25,000 pesos, 26,000 pesos a month. That alone is what an average half-decent rental place will cost you. Just from water dispensers. Oh yeah, there had to be an initial investment in there, but that's been paid already. We got things going on, but you don't have to know everything. But they make laughs about, oh yeah, or Popeye's commenters or somebody, that Frank's making money from, he's so desperate, he's making money from water dispensers. Well, I'll tell you what, it works. That's 25, 26,000 pesos a month that we didn't have before, added to. Only thing you have to pay for is the water bottles to replace. That's all. What does that cost you? Not much. Bueno Cano. Sorry, I haven't been looking at my messages. Yeah, I'm on extra early this morning. I was up since 3 something. Because there's mass in the morning. And I did a little spiel on that on my show. I got up extra early because she kissed me goodbye because she was going to mass with the children. Some special mass at church they're having for the season, Christmas season. And I said, so ridiculous. They can't make it at a godly hour. At 3:30 in the fucking morning, they're going to have mass. To me, that's mass, all right. It's mass hysteria. Why don't they make it at a decent hour so people could get some sleep? How about 7 in the morning? Not 3:30 mass. That you got to get out of bed of a decent sleep to go to mass and get dressed up, take the kids and go to mass. Why can't they make it at a proper hour? Why do you got to get people? They're just trying to test your devotion is what it is. How devoted are you to the church? And it's a form of control. We can control you. We in a Catholic diocese, we can control you. We're going to get you out of bed at 3 o'clock in the morning to go to mass. Well, we could simply make it at a decent hour of the morning so you can get some sleep. But no, it's still a matter of control. But most of you don't have the capacity or the ability to understand how power and control is, and how you're being tested all the time by your own government, especially. They want to know how much power they have over you. So it gets you out of bed. How devoted are you, motherfuckers? They get you out of bed at 3 o'clock in the morning to attend a mass. Certainly could make it at a better hour than that, but they don't want to do that. Or you cattle that follow the society and what society bestows upon you. It's like putting a fucking rope through your nose like a cow and pulling it around, getting pulled around by that little noose in your fucking nose. That's what they're doing. It's what the government does to you. It's what the church does to you. Your life is being controlled by outside sources. And you fall for that shit, man. But I do got to get off. I'm going to try to get a little more rest because I got up extra early. I don't know. I'm up already. That's kind of hard for me to do. I don't want to do a show for any longer than I've been doing. You just came in at a later time, Mr. Kano. Let's see. Yeah, I guess that's what I started off my show with, the fact that I was up early. But we talked about loneliness on here, Mr. Kano. Loneliness and what it does to people like Popeye, who's probably simulcasting me, and how their life becomes so empty, even if they have a family member living with them, like the daughter, not having a woman for so long, to have that human touch, other than his dog licking his balls. You gotta have more than that in life, man. You have to. And I spoke about some of the lonely moments I've had. And I've had a few, and more than a few in my life. I talked about when I first came to, started visiting Philippines. I didn't have women every time I went there. There was always someone I met up with, but sometimes that was as far as it went. I was lucky on some trips to have someone to hang around with and do some things with, and converse with and have company. But sometimes that's not enough. And a lot of these people out there that have intentions to actually move to the Philippines who have not yet accomplished that, they're not putting in all these factors that there's a good chance they're going to be alone, and what are they going to do with their lonely time? It's not like what everybody pretends to be. Popeye seems jealous. Is he simulcasting right now, out of curiosity? I haven't checked. Hold on a second here. A lot of people make mistakes out of their loneliness. I mean, even my own daughter, really. She might have had the kids, but when she had left her husband and she made bad choices on her relationships, but it really had to do with loneliness. It had to do with loneliness. She didn't want to be alone. Of course, she had the companionship of her own children, but it wasn't the same. So that's how you make bad choices out of desperation. Don't make bad choices out of desperation. I did that. I was married once. And that choice, because I was fairly new to Seattle, I was there for a while, but my choice excuse me, at that time, where I just didn't know enough people, and she'd be hanging around me a lot, They wound up being together with her for a while. You know, you move somewhere, you don't really know a hell of a lot of people, and you got to fall into this clique. You know, always talk about this clique. It was like that. Everything was cliquish in Seattle. Either you're part of a Starbucks group, that kind of mentality. The IT people had their own group of people, the Starbucks people who walked around with Evian bottles of water. They couldn't get a standard brand from a supermarket. It had to be Evian. They had to be seen with that. And if they were out jogging around Green Lake or something, or biking, they'd have to put on the outfits. Oh yeah, they wore the spandex, the whole shit. They had to look the part. And no, they didn't just carry some bargain brand fucking water. It had to be like Evian. Oh, it had to be Evian. I never was part of any clique like that. I never want to be. That wasn't who I was. So yes, there were like sanctions. There were like groups of people that shared the same, oh, I don't know. They were very cliquish, put it that way. They were very cliquish. No simulcast. Popeye must be taking a nap with his dog. Wow, I'm shocked. Well, he's getting all geared up for the big gala Christmas special, basically on Barry and his 3 years of incarceration. He's working feverishly, I tell you. He's working feverishly on creating his little skit for Christmas, which is sad in itself. You think Popeye's jealous of me, Cano? Well, we know. I am the voice in the dark, let's face it. Again, I'm going to repeat, it was, I like what he wrote. It was, what's his name? It was coming on my show. I don't know, I blocked him or something. Edison, no, Tesla, not Edison was the name of his, that's his handle. That would come on my show and comment. He did write something on either Popeye show comment section or somewhere, I don't know. And basically what he says in a nutshell is that the Philippines genre here, and all the players, they don't play without me. That there'd be a big void in their life if I didn't do any shows on here. That their life was based on me. Listening to my shows, my philosophy, my humor, my discussions. That I've been on here so long that they need to hear me on YouTube. They need to listen to me. They may talk shit about me till the cows come home, but they're always there listening to me, like right now. When I was off for 3 months, they were falling apart by the seams. So I'm significant after all. Imagine that. Oh, sure, they'll attack me and call me every name in the book. But it almost seems like I drive their life. That's pretty sad. I don't want to drive anybody's life, but maybe I give people a reason to live. Who says I'm not performing a service on here? I don't mind what they say about me anymore. Really, I don't. I'm used to it. But it just keeps on proving to me that life without Frank is like, I don't know, emptiness. I feel, oh, here's a good one. I feel the void in their life. That's a statement. There we go. I feel the void in their life. And others. And probably a lot of the people that are listening to me right now. Never realized how significant I was. To the past couple of years, actually. How vital it is for me, for them, to do my live streams. We got people their feet kicked up on the desk, waiting for my show to come on. They like listening to my voice, because I got a face for radio. The voice of reason, the voice of truth, the voice of fact. And unfortunately, it affects people in a bad way too, because when I put up that proverbial mirror, as I say all the time, which is so truthful, well, they can't function unless I'm doing a show. There's nothing worthwhile listening to anymore on here until Frank comes on. I guess I got that going for myself, huh? I guess so. I'm their guru. I give them reason to live. I give Popeye definitely a reason to live. Poor soul. I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to. But they like listening to me. And all the hateful comments they make about me, it's completely the opposite. They enjoy what I have to talk about on my show. They live for it, literally. Oh, yeah, you're going to hear very derogative comments from people like Mick Fisher, even. Of course, Big E all the time, and other characters on here. But they all listen to me. And if I didn't have anything interesting to say, they wouldn't waste their time. Although we do know why they're listening to me sometimes. They're trying to get me in a catchphrase. They're trying to get something negative out of me that they could use against me. But if they have that much time on their hands, who's the one that's looking bad? I have that much control over their lives. I never intended it to be that way, but that's the way it turned out. They're so used to me doing a show that it's like the same thing would happen with Popeye in his life. Many, 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 many decades ago, he got involved with the television soap operas that you're familiar with, Days of Our Lives, especially General Hospital. They're all gone now, I believe, and now he has Frank. So I add meaning to Popeye's life after all. I add meaning to a lot of people's lives. I didn't plan it that way. I guarantee you, I didn't plan it that way. No, I'm not rubbing my knuckles on my chest with that. I'm really not. I mean, I'm flattered. I'm baffled sometimes, too. I'm like, what the fuck, really? Why am I so significant to these people's lives? They're apparently not living the lives that they're trying to portray that they're living, because they're here listening to me all the time. Just as the 13 people, whatever I have on here now. You know when I'm on, because you got your notification bell on. When I do a show, you know about it. Popeye knows about it. Big E knows about it. Mick Fisher knows about it. Mick Fisher's full of shit, by the way, all the time. He listens to me religiously. Mick Fisher talks shit about me all the time when Popeye does a show. You're always going to catch, or Kevin or anybody, you're always going to catch Mick Fisher, who says that he doesn't do anything wrong with me, that he was always a good intent person, but he was not. The very day he fucking met me, it wasn't a social visit to say, yeah, I want to meet Frank in person. No. He had a motive. And he lied. That's why I don't respect him. That's why he jumps on my case, because I'm bold enough, and I don't care how fucking big he is. I'm still going to speak my mind. He met for the purpose of trying to convince me, at the time, to drop the case against Barry Jordan. But it didn't work, Mick, did it? It didn't work. Excuse the expression, but I stuck to my guns, and even Gilda shined them up. Yeah, narcissistic personality disorder. You got it. Absolutely. Now, you're not talking about me. You're talking about who? Okay. As long as I know. I can't help if I'm so important to people's lives that they got to devote shows to me. Who does that? I'm the only YouTuber I know of. that anybody would devote a whole show called Frank Battaglia Replays devoted to me, little old me. What an honor that is. What an absolute honor that is. And then to have to be simulcast by Popeye. I don't know if I deserve this honor. There's my regular 13 on here. There we go again. I know exactly who they are. I think Barry's out there too. Hi, Barry. They're letting you use a phone this early in the morning? How you getting your food, Barry, anyway? How are you ordering food? I got to look that up. Well, Barry, looks like you're going to be there for another Christmas. 3 years now, huh? That's a bummer. Oh, that's a bummer. Get it? Oh, well. No, Barry, don't flatter yourself. I took your picture off my wall a long time ago of you behind the bars. No, it's in the closet. I can put it up again if you want. But to tell you the truth, I don't like looking at your ugly face, so I took it down. I don't mean to be so important in people's lives. I'm just a regular guy. Not to be confused with Scotty Boy. I'm just a regular guy. I have my own wants, have my own needs, have my own lifestyle. I'm just me. I never thought I was extra special sauce. Never did. You say things like that Frank thinks he's special. I never said I was special. But I must be special to a lot of people if they devote their lives, listen to every fucking show I put on, recording me, actually developing a show devoted to my videos, and people simulcasting. Wow. How do I deserve this honor? Kano says, what do they serve in Pinoy prison for Christmas? You might get an extra fish head. I don't know. Never been there, and I hope never to be honest with you. But I know one thing, if I was in a situation like that, I wouldn't piss off the fucking Chinese, I'll tell you that, like Barry probably is. Oh, he didn't speak highly of them at all. He made some statements on his own community postings or whatever it was. He hated these fucking Chinese. He said they're filthy. They're filthy? How often did you have a shower when you were in Mandawi or prior to Mandawi? I don't think Barry showered that often. And we knew when he showered because he didn't shower that often. When he did, it was something special. He had to actually talk about it. Oh, I'm going to take a shower. And that's the only time he ever took a shower is when he told people he was taking a shower. And that was far and in between. I hope he's showering in prison because that can get awfully ugly in prison there. But watch out when you bend over to pick that piece of soap up because you got a bunch of these Chinese boys. Well, he's probably been through that already. Let's just say Barry has always been well seasoned for that. Well, it kind of looks that way so far, unless it's something I don't know about. That they're going to release him for Christmas or something for whatever reason. Or somebody bailed him out of his situation. I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I'd tell you if I did. I don't know. I don't know what's going on except for what he talks about when he makes comments on his community page or makes comments on somebody else's vlog. It comes out, little drips and drabs, but it comes out. And I know he's having a hard time with predominantly the detained are predominantly Chinese. They're probably all the pogo workers that's still been in there all this time. That's right, Mark says, my Philippines interest, the original since 2015, baby. Here comes Clint Anson. His dad seasoned him. Oh, he sure did. Apple don't fall far from the tree. Hey, Jay, are you listening out there, Jay? he has some shootings out there, and well, what is he in Bali still? He's bombing out in Bali. I think maybe he's going to be out of there by now. He'll probably wind up back in the Philippines again, buying his rental women. But the funny thing is, I mean, it's one thing to buy companionship, but you're at least going to get laid. If you got to put out money to buy all these drinks for a woman, at least get laid. At least get them to go to your hotel room with you. Jay hasn't even accomplished that. And how do I know this? Like I'm watching him every second? No, I'm not watching him every second. I have no way of doing that. But I know his personality. I know his attitude against women. I know what he looks like. And how disgusting his breath might be with a combination of tobacco and constant drinking. His hairy chest, his aborigine-looking face, and his little squinty eyes, and his attitude. Who the fuck wants to fuck him? Look, even prostitutes have their own scruples, okay? Even prostitutes have their own scruples. I mean, they may need the money, but I think even prostitutes draw the line somewhere and pick and choose. Because there's a lot of prostitutes that will not go, even if the money is good. And it'd have to be real good for them to actually share a bed and have actually sexual intercourse with a foreigner. It has to be out of total desperation that they would go that far with a foreigner. If the guy was overweight like Jay, drank like a fucking fish, chain smoked like a chimney, hairy chest, looking like a fucking abo. There's only so far that these street gals will go. These bar girls will go with a guy. You think that they screw everybody? I don't believe it. Oh, there's Green Newbie, who's a troll. Why do you spend so much time on YouTube? Because I got people like you that like to listen to me, Green Newbie. You're here. Remember, I'm there because you're there. My favorite line. Does that answer your question? Because you're there, Green Newbie. Because you're there to listen to my show. And because I am retired. And I could do whatever the fuck I want. I'm actually really living out here. Actually really have a partner out here for a lot of years. Have a home out here. Have a little family out here. And sometimes I do got time on my hands. Between other things I actually do besides talking on YouTube, sir. See, Mark says, I'm here because you're there. It's my motto. Does that answer your question, Green Newbie? Who's a troll, by the way? Who I'm going to get rid of right now because I know he's a troll. Bye. Not that I don't have any trolls listening, but they're not commenting. Hope I've answered your questions this morning. And I went into detail about a few things. Being lonely sucks. Face it. And I'm here to help some people with their loneliness. Remember, I'm the voice in the dark. I'm the voice in the dark. I'm the voice in the dark. Admit it. I am truly here because you're there. And if I wasn't here, you'd fall apart. And a good test is when I was off for 3 months recently. Oh, the speculation. He must have died. They must have deported him. He must be in jail. Well, none of the above, my friends. None of the above. I'm still here. I'm still alive and I'm still healthy. I'm still vlogging at the moment. Here I am, launching like a hurricane. And you're there to listen to me. No one forces you. No one has a gun to anybody's head to come to my show. Right, Mick? Right, Big E? Everybody? No one is forcing you to listen to me. I have no way of possibly physically doing that. I have no way. You come by choice because you like to hear me talk, you like the sound and tone of my voice, you like my philosophy, you like my topic matter, and there's lots of topic matter. The one thing I can say about my show, anything goes, really. We talk about things that people only dare to talk about on YouTube. And the reason they won't, they're worried about their algorithms. If they say something wrong, they're going to lose their monetization. Well, I am not monetized. And I can say what the fuck I want on here. Well, pretty much. But you know what? Alas, I do got to go. I've been on air for 2 hours. I'm not even going to make a tea yet. I don't even feel like doing that. I'm going to relax a little bit in bed. My sweetheart is at Mass. If you just tuned in, I got up early. I did like a 3:30 show today. Oh my God. Oh my goodness. Mass at 3:30 in the morning. Can you believe that? They can't pick a decent time to have people come to church for a special Mass? Seriously? You want to do that to your followers, your parishioners? Why would you do that? It's power, it's control, it's testing. That's what it is. Just like any government, the church does the same shit. Same shit. Can you believe that? And we got into the subject, if you just tuned in, into loneliness and how it's affected so many vloggers on here that are absolutely miserable. And because they're miserable, you know how it works, right? They want you to be miserable, just as miserable as they are, like Popeye and others. They don't want you to live a decent life that you're happy with and have a partner. They wish that the partner would leave me. I wish I would die. Wish I would be deported or go to jail. Lovely people that they are. Hello, all you lovely people. I know I'm a gem. I'm an absolute gem to people out here. I didn't mean to be. I'm sorry. I didn't mean for you to be obsessed with me. That's just your choice. I just come on here and do shows, man. That's all I do. And I talk about different shit, man. I'm not trying to be extra special sauce on anybody's burger, okay? I'm just simply me. Like some people are just simply red. I'm simply me. Whatever that may be. You make your determination how important I am in your life. If you get obsessed with me, I don't try to cause that obsession. I don't mean to. I'm sorry. You just got to get more things going on in your life, man. Hey, I come right out and admit it. If I was having a boring day, I'll say, man, what a fucking boring day. Is this what retirement's all about in this fucking country? Well, let me tell you, man. Most of the retired, the expats that come out here, they're not swinging on a rope somewhere. They're not diving out of a fucking plane. They're not jet skiing. They're not all scuba diving. They're not all running a marathon. The guys that come here to retire in the Philippines, they're watching Netflix. Or they're going out to lunch or dinner with their partner or wife or whatever. Or spending time with the family. Familia. That's what they're doing. Then you've got the choice few that like to spend their retirement life in a seedy, smelly bar like Brevis, Ricky, and other people of that nature. That's their life. In a fucking bar that they could have done in their own country. Picking up filthy whores. who had more dicks in them than sand on a fucking beach, and you want to penetrate that without protection? Shame on you, man. Well, good for you, whatever you want to look at this. Yeah, mark your belt. There you go. Put a notch on your belt. I got another whore. Oh, last week I had 3 of them. No. Like Jay would say, I got more bitches. I don't have to pay for anyone. I've never paid for a woman, Abo Man said. Bullshit. Bullshit. Bull dinky. Because that's the only way some of these people are going to even have a woman around them. If you're buying these luscious drinks, they're going to hang on you until you stop spending. Jay, wake up. You're not a woman's man. You're not a big old he-man. You're being used and abused. And you got that big smile on you when you do your shows. You're in the bar and you got a woman hanging on you. Well, if I was that woman, I'd hang on you too, getting free drinks. They're all alcoholics. That's a perk as part of their job as being a bar girl. Free drinks, and the management of the place loves it. That's why they hire these women to dress skimpy, to sit there and have a drink, because they're making money off you, Jay. And they're going to make money more off you because you're buying these women drinks. That's what they do. These women are planted there, Jay, for suckers like you, Jay, and other people. That's why they're there. That's why they call bar girls and bar fines and all that shit. Not because you're so good looking, Jay. Good looking, swarthy, good looking man. You're the complete fucking opposite. They're going to give you all the attention they want. They'll lean on you, act like they're interested in you, Jay, but they're not interested in you. They probably despise you. Despise what you look like and smell like. Wake up, Jay. Wake up, Abo. Wake up and smell coffee instead of a bottle of your best booze. Or your favorite cigarette. And I wonder what teeth you have. Do you brush them? Do you use mouthwash? I do. Every single day. I'll go as far as changing my t-shirts, Jay. Because I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's fair to my partner, Jay, to smell tobacco on my shirt when I do smoke. No, I don't go through a whole bunch of shirts per day, but I do change them, Jay. Not just for that, because sometimes it gets very sweety out here. You know, sweaty, as my girlfriend pronounces it, sweety. And you got to change your shirt or shower. Do you ever shower, Jay? Oh, that's right, you do. You showed it proof. And you had a fucking dildo secured to the wall of your fucking shower, and you were punching the dildo. What a psych case this guy is. He had a fucking dildo that he was punching in the shower. Need I say more? Need I say more? And they talk about me. Well, Frank, you showed your ass on camera. Shame on you. No, man. Shame on you for enjoying that little ditty I did with my ass on camera. Shame on you, sir, for enjoying that visual delight, you pervert. I gotta get off. Not literally, but figuratively, I gotta get off here. Oh my God. Oh my God. My goodness. It's not goodness, it's goodness. Thanks for the impromptu show this morning here. Yes, I did get up extra early because she had to go to Mass with her kids. Imagine that. The church under that much control over the people. They're going to get them out of a comfortable bed and get dressed, showered up and dressed to go to a mass. To go to a mass. Let's stay on longer. We'll stay on longer. Come on, man. Make it worthwhile for me, man. Callie says, that's a smooth ass you got. Yeah, I don't have any stretch marks or anything. Well, I haven't checked lately. And quite frankly, I really don't look at my ass in the mirror. To be honest with you, I never do. I might have something there now. I don't know. But when I did my little ass thing on there, it was smooth like a baby's behind. Not a wrinkle. And boy, oh boy, there were some YouTubers that were getting off on it. Popeye, I can see him now. He still has it because he likes to play it on there. I can see him with his underwear down, just jacking off to my ass. It's kind of a sickly thought, you know, in my head to think about that he actually does that. But he's not the only one that probably does it. Ricky probably does too. And a lot of other people. Don C., all these people. They're loving my ass. They're loving every minute of it. They got that video when I mooned Gary. Okay, we need some truth on here. Did Gary really die? Do we have... is there proof of it? Second one that came up, and one recently, is that, which I don't buy the story at all, is that John Blaze passed away in a motorcycle accident. Yeah, they imagine themselves entering that smooth ass. Well, I'll tell you what, nobody goes up my asshole. And the only thing that touches my ass is toilet paper and a rag and water. That's the only thing that's touching my ass. My girlfriend ain't even touching my ass. And they imagine themselves licking it too. What a horrible thought. What a horrible thought. No, Mark, you came on later. So I can't stay on here any longer. I've been on here over 2 hours already. I actually do have other things to do, believe it or not, folks. Okay? I need to shower. And I do shower. Twice a day, if you really need to know. There have been days I've only showered once a day. I didn't build up no sweat or anything. I wasn't dirty. Clothes change, everything. Generally, it's 2 times a day, if you must really know, because you must know everything about me. Generally, two showers a day. Okay? And I'll also tell you something even more, which is controversial on here, seemingly. That I don't use the same towel twice. And I've heard people make comments. Are you kidding me? Yeah, I know people that use the... And my girlfriend would even want to do it. No, I don't let her do it. I'll let you use that. I'm not using it on me. I don't know. I don't want all their skin cells and all that shit on me. I don't want all that crap. That's right. That's why I go through a lot of towels. I use a towel. I use a towel for a shower. Well, that shower is going in the dirty clothes hamper. It's going to be washed. Hey, I dry my ass with that too. I'm not going to reuse that again. And I don't want to reuse her towel. I'd rather go to the expense, electricity, whatever, and water of washing that towel. I'm sorry. I'm not going to use a towel over again. Oh, you're welcome, Mark. Says thanks for the show. I've been on quite a while. So many little intricacies about Mr. B here that people like to listen to. So there you go. Right. I do not use the same towel. And I know that guy, my old confidant, would tell me, fuck, I used that towel for like 3 days in a row. And I'm thinking, really? It's not that I'm a germophobic or nothing. Let's be real. I'm sorry, but I can't, Oh, here goes another. Philly just did a show. Did I get used by my Philippine or something on there? Another clickbait. The master of clickbait is Philly in the Philippines. He's the master clickbaiter probably, but he's a master of clickbait. I can't even stand the guy anymore, really. I was able to tolerate Philly for a while. He's too wishy-washy, though, you know? And I gotta go. Great show this morning. Great show. Thank you very much for listening to me. Remember, I'm there because you're there. That has not changed. Nor. Okay, this is going to be a short live. I may go down to the beach later, and I might, I can't go live doing that. I don't think I have enough load to do that. We may do a video taking a walk down to the beach later on, have you come down with me. Might just do that later on. Let's go see how warm it is outside and what I'm feeling like today. I don't know if my sweetheart will accompany me because she had to get up early herself to go to Mass. And yet there's another one tomorrow. My goodness. My goodness. The Popeye Deformity. No, it has nothing to do with Robert Clausen this time, although he is deformed. It might have to do with Jim because Jim has what they call it the Popeye Deformity. Now, you know, on a cartoon how they show his very odd looking arms. And I was watching a video where this weightlifter was doing some curls with a heavy dumbbell. And as he was doing these curls, boom, all of a sudden you see a pop in a muscle and it came up in another place like a big fucking lump. Ouch, ouch, ouch. And Jimbo has the Popeye Deformity when he makes his muscles like he likes to flex all the time, like it's an extension of his manhood or something. He has that Popeye Deformity. Just take notice of that. That's actually what it is. I never had any definition or wording of it. It's either a tendon or muscle that just rips, basically. It's the muscle is ripping. You'll find that on Jimbo. It's called the Popeye Deformity. And this is what, when you're pushing the envelope too much with dumbbells. And I was watching this guy right as it happened. Ouch. It just went from his bicep as he was doing that curl to the muscle, but all the way up, you see a big lump all of a sudden show up right above that bicep area. The Popeye Deformity. Yeah, Jimbo's got that going. He's got that going. We did a long show this morning. I'm not going to do one now. I may decide to take a walk to the beach. I might record that. I want to see if my wireless is charged up or not. I might be doing that alone. I'm not sure because she's pretty tired getting up so early herself. But where do I get this energy from getting up so early myself? But, well, apparently I have it. I don't know how. What's for breakfast? Oatmeal, 1 hard-boiled egg, strawberries. So oatmeal and tea with cinnamon and ginger in it. Green tea with cinnamon, ginger, and honey. That's my breakfast. What's yours? Bacon, greasy bacon. Come on, tell the truth. What is it? Yeah. Okay, so I still can't get over the fact that Rob Reiner and his wife died. Apparently the son is the issue. Drugs. You know what I mean? That's why I'm so against illegal drugs, drinking, all that shit. Because, you know, I experienced it with a family member and talked about it many times. Which I don't feel like talking about it anymore, to be honest with you. But, man, you're always on YouTube still. And you're always watching, Lester. You're always watching, Lester. Bravo. Bravo. Are you complaining about it? You see, I have this little phone. It's very portable. I could turn it on anytime as well as I could turn it off. Okay? It's really simple. Modern technology. I'm not on here 24 hours a day. I come on, I do a show, I have something to talk about. Remember, retirement life is the most active period of my whole life on my dusty little island. I'm even going to do another one for you. I'm probably going to do a walk at the beach or something. Would you like that one too? You'll be watching. Don't complain. You're there. Well, I'm here because you're there, and you're there because I'm here. Works out pretty well, doesn't it? Well, when I'm doing something, Lester, the molester, I'm doing something. When I'm not, I have the time to do shows. See how that works out? How it balances out? Yeah, just like that. And I'm seeing a lot of other vloggers doing multiple shows these days. Well, they're after the money. I'm not. I do a lot when I'm not on YouTube. Quite a bit. I actually exercise. Imagine that. I actually help with chores around the house or in the yard. Imagine that. Yeah, I do that stuff, Lester. And I'm not sure what you expect me to do at my age. I could do a lot of things, actually. There's certain things I don't choose to do. When you have something to say, you say it. Otherwise, you don't say anything. If it's something you want to share, you share it. You could choose not to share it. See, we have those options, Lester. And you have your options whether you want to come to my show and listen to it and then make a ridiculous comment that, gee, you're always on YouTube still. Well, there's a time when I wasn't, and everybody suffered. And they complained and they suffered. They were jonesing. They had a monkey on their back when I wasn't on. And when I'm not on again, they're going to do the same thing. Where's Frank? He must be dead. He must have been deported. He must have got arrested or something. Always something. Did I make my point, Lester? I just want to make sure I made my point. But I do got to get off. Maybe later I'll do an upload. How would you like that? In fact, I like uploads. Maybe that's what I should concentrate on, said Frank about 40,000 times. I don't have to deal with lame comments. But yes, I do things with my day, and I'm not sitting there in a chair all day watching TV either. I don't even turn the TV on until late afternoon. Just to let you know, Lester. That's right. I'm not a couch potato. Although I love potatoes, though. I love potatoes, especially roasted and mashed. Does that help you out a little bit to learn a little bit about me? A man who speaks his mind and leaves everything else behind. Gots to go. Lester says, man, you're always on YouTube still. And I told Lester, well, you're always there to watch me or listen to me. How about that? I don't know, maybe I'll take a walk to the beach later and I'll do an upload or something. See if my wireless is working. Charged up. Yeah, I do things in between, believe it or not.
Almost every foreigner I've seen get into serious trouble here ignored these exact warnings. Some of these can ruin your vacation, some can ruin your life, and the biggest danger isn't criminals or scammers. It's something else entirely. Let's get into it. Let's start with the thing that puts more foreigners in danger in the Philippines than anything else: motorcycles and scooters. And I'm not just talking about when you're riding one. I'm talking about what everyone else is doing.
Oh yeah, some people are happy to see me on. I gotta talk about something on here. And you're all part of society. I'm part, you are. No, I'm part of an online society, social media, and people of the earth. Between the Bondi shit going on when people got killed. Okay, between Rob Reiner and all the shit that's going on with the president. I think that gives you a pretty good indication of what's going on with our society. Then go to YouTube and social media. And I think that gives you a reasonable idea of what's going on with our society. Remember something, when you got people in a certain mindset, you're not going to change their mindset. I mean, look, how many years, a good example, Barry Jordan, people like that, you're not going to change who these people are, you know? I'm just really glad that I was able to do something about the Barry Jordan situation when nobody would. You know, I am so happy about that. Sometimes you got to say something and sometimes you got to do something. And look, I don't come on here for fanfare. I don't come on here for money. I just come on here because maybe deep in my heart, I really think I'm doing something good. It serves a purpose for me. I'm retired. I like to rap about a few things on my show, perhaps vent or whatever, which I think a lot of us do. But, you know, I think there's a limitation to just about everything. No, you're not going to change views about me on YouTube because these people are hardened by society. And a lot of them are coming from a different generation than me. And they've had problems in their house, their family, how they were raised. A lot of them were probably bullied. And it shows out on social media. You're not going to fight these people. You're not going to change their behavior. That's impossible. Or you could teach them a lesson or something, but are they going to learn from that lesson? That's a key question, really. But I was reading a lot of threads about Rob Reiner, and they make jokes like, oh, meathead finally got turned into minced meat. I mean, how would you say that? Well, like, how would I even say what I'm saying right now? Because look at me, I come on here. I'm no threat to anybody, not physically or anything like that. I'm not a violent person in that way. And I don't try to harm anybody. But people want harm to me. They don't even know me. Crazy society we're living in. It just really is. All this shit we see in the news. Look at the president. I still don't understand the mindset of people who voted for him. I still don't understand the mindset of people that praise him so much, knowing what he's done, knowing how he treats people. He's the fucking president of the free, he's a leader of the free world. Supposed to be, a good representation to the United States, America. He yells at reporters, calling them ugly, retards. Well, that happens right here on YouTube, doesn't it? Huh? Okay. We got Republicans everywhere, apparently. And we do. It don't matter whether you're Republican or Democrat. If you're a fucking president, you act like a president. You be a role model to the children that see you. The guy obviously is out of his fucking mind. And I really can't wait till he gets ousted out of office or voted out or whatever. I mean, well, old age just, hits him hard. He's got a few things going on medically he don't want to talk about. But this is a guy that needs to be out of the White House. Can you imagine? Without getting and going through proper channels, he took a wrecking ball to that extension of the White House. He didn't have proper channels and permission to do that. He was more thinking about himself. I want a bigger ballroom so I can entertain more billionaires. I could put my name on there and I could erect a statue of myself. And you voted for this guy? You voted for this guy? Shame on you, man. He in a way, he is an example of America, what America has become. I understand why so many people are moving out of America. I truly understand it. But then they're all coming here. They're all coming here. It's a non-win situation, really. All the crazies, they leave America, but they come over here to Southeast Asia and cause problems here. Yeah, I'm not going to tolerate this shit anymore, really. I don't need to come on here and express myself the way I do. We live in a very volatile society. There's so many sociopaths out there, you can't even count them on YouTube. People that don't even know you and they make an evaluation about you. And you want a YouTube channel that bad? Some of you want a YouTube channel, huh? Really? I'll tell you what, I don't know how some people have been on as long as they have. Well, I know what the pushing point is. It's like, making money. And they'll tolerate just about everything. When they're making that good money, they're making two, three, four, five, six, seven, $8,000 a month on YouTube. That's the denominator that keeps them on. And they'll take any insult and they'll risk getting themselves killed for that money every month. But they got to ask themselves, is it worth it? Is it worth it? It's really not, you know. And how much could you say anyway? How much could you say that you haven't said before? And it's somebody else hasn't said before you, and they've said it probably 1,000 times and repeat themselves over and 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 over again. Don't you people get tired of listening to that? How about tired of listening to me? you know? I don't know. It's almost impossible for me to come here on this channel and try to stay focused. Okay, without some asshole coming in saying something or somebody recording my show, which, does bring a little bit of traffic over here. But you're not going to change who people are. That's just not going to happen. I don't need this shit, to tell you the truth. I have some fun doing these shows, but I think live streams have been the worst thing I've ever done. I think live streams, I've talked about it, but I don't do anything about it. Live streams are probably the worst thing to get involved in. Now, I have no reason to do a live stream because I don't have monetization. I'm not looking for super chats and all that crap on here. And you all come over here just to listen to me, but you don't say anything anyway. Let's just listen to Frank. Let's wait till he says something we could use against him. That kind of negativity and mental degradation of these people's minds are really not something I really want to be part of. I don't understand why I do live streams at all. It doesn't make any sense. There's no benefit in there for me. But the trooper I am, I do my shows and don't usually give a shit what people say. That's why I've been on here for so long. I really don't give a shit what people say. However, it doesn't mean that I like what's going on in social media. It doesn't mean that things going on in social media is righteous. People are always attacking each other. As I said, they're all warriors, keyboard warriors on Facebook, Twitter, whatever you have out there now, social platforms, YouTube, Twitter, X, and whatever the fuck it is. What X is now Twitter or something. I don't know. I don't keep up with this shit. But, I think my girlfriend even looks at me in astonishment saying, I don't know why he keeps on coming on here. I've been enough trouble out there with these idiots, And she's right. And she's absolutely right. I don't know what keeps me going on here. No, it's not loneliness because, I've got great companionship. So what is it? Well, like I said, I think in part, I think a lot of foreigners get on social media because, well, they're away from home. But you got to understand, this is your new home, wherever you move to. If you move to Southeast Asia, whatever. And you got to make it your home. And you got to be comfortable in your own home, too. Why come on YouTube where all the crazies are? There's enough out there. You got to go enter the lion's den and put up with all the bullshit out here? Look at the sick fucks we have out here. Do I need to mention their names? They're all a bunch of sick fucks. They're all a bunch of sick fucks. All right, I think this should have been more of an upload than actually a live stream on here, but I'm gonna go with it, and I want to give some final thoughts about kind of a summary. Yes? Yeah, it's early. it's some observations I've made too. So, some opinions, observations, and it has to do with all the negativity about people trying to convince others not to move to the Philippines, those that have moved out and why, the influence of such. I was watching some guy's show, I don't know if it's Life in the Philippines or something like that, and he's talking about a gentleman from Hague who was on a, limited income, and he figured, man, rent's going up, everything's going up, had this thing about moving to the Philippines, and he did, but he encountered so many crazy things that do happen here in the Philippines. But this is neither pro or negative Philippines. It's just I'm going to give you an opinion and make a commentary about things I've heard, and some things are kind of disturbing. But let me hit it anyway. So the guy, finds a place for 10,000 a month, Ilo. I think he went to Ilo. This guy from The Hague, and he's renting about 10,000 a month, other expenses. But it seemed that every time something breaks down, the landlord was expecting him to do everything. He was there during uh, one of the big storms, and did a lot of damage to the roof. And the landlord didn't want to do anything. He says, "It's going to cost you 45,000 pesos." She told him. Yeah, the landlord told him that. He said, "Fuck this," and he went back to Hague. Well, while he was in the Philippines, something similar happened to him. He developed a kidney stone. So he went back to Hague to take care of that. Okay, so he had decided, and this is his reasons, because although he was intrigued by the Philippines, yes, he found the Philippine people very friendly, this and that, and there was a certain amount of courtesy. But when it came to renting, for example, you know, um, landlords that were not exactly very cooperative, and I'm familiar with that actually. Sort of kind of with my rental I had over here that I was renting, but she didn't want to go all the way with expenses, and but his was kind of extreme. So what happens is a lot of these foreigners wind up spending a lot more money than they ever figured they would spend, and one of the reasons that they came to the Philippines was to reduce these expenses. Then they were really shocked. You know, he had already bought a motorcycle, and this one guy, and he had owned different things, and so what. And he just sold everything dime on the dollar. Took a big loss on his motorcycle. He thought he was finding paradise out here. And people coming from cold countries, especially, and they see all these videos and people sitting on the beach with a drink or something, and but they don't realize that the beach scene could get pretty played out after a while. You have to have more than that. And what usually cements people here is being in a steady relationship. Now, look, we all know that things aren't exactly perfect in the Philippines. Of course, the usual talk, the infrastructure, and all that stuff, and don't get into an accident with a Filipino, they'll try to sue you, or don't even get on the road. And it is true about the accidents. I mean, motorcycles, scooters, etc., are the biggest, other than, heart attacks, diabetes, stuff like that people die from, are probably the biggest death factor here in the Philippines, actually. But here's the thing, too. You got pros and cons of anything. This is just not the Philippines, okay? This is all over. It's becoming hard for everybody all over the fucking planet. They all want to move to somewhere better, but is there anything that's much better than where they came from? Maybe they're finding it hard to survive and they're forced to do that. But then they go to a country that think it's going to be so great because they watch everybody's videos and everybody's having fun and they're living this great life and all that. Well, that's some people, yeah. There's a lot of people, actually, but there's a lot of them that come kind of disenchanted with Southeast Asia, period, or the Philippines in particular. And they wind up, they either wind up in a bad relationship that costs them all their money. They wind up on the streets, some of them. or they go home licking their wounds saying, well, I tried. This is not the place for me. I've been watching lately, I'm seeing more and more of this. It's like those that were, let's say, politely disenchanted with the Philippines are talking a lot of crap about the Philippines. And there's a lot of reasons why, because maybe they just got caught up in a bad situation. They couldn't find a good woman. They're not going to tell you the whole story, okay? Or somebody cost them a lot of money. They lost money from somebody, a Filipino normally. Okay, yeah, that does happen out here. But, as you're aging, it does come to a point where you have to decide to settle down somewhere. It doesn't have to be the Philippines. Because as you are aging, you're going to get certain more personal needs for yourself. You need to be structured and you need to settle down if you are looking for a woman to be your lover, your friend, your caretaker, etc. Then you're going to have to act pretty quick on that. I don't mean marry or get together with the first woman that you meet, but plan it out because there's going to come a time when, physically you may not be able to take care of yourself. You got to think about that. No matter how healthy you are now, a lot of shit could happen in the period of time that you're out here. Medical things cost a lot of money. I talk about it when I went for the kidney stone deal. In fact, this guy had the same situation, but he went to The Hague to go back home to have that taken care of. But what you can still do if you've got Medicare, you can, go into Guam if you have to from here, and you're covered in Guam. Same thing as America. I don't know. They're reducing benefits all the time, and nobody's at a really good advantage with anything anymore. And do you really want to get insurance and pay over, how many dollars you're going to pay per month to have some kind of insurance pay? And if you're like, if you're at an older age, it's going to be hard for you to get insurance. So you would either have to pay cash out here, like I did, or you could have to hop on a plane and go to back to America, or go to a U.S. territory such as Guam, which is an obvious place to go to because it is American territory, and take care of your problem there. But you're still going to need lodging and all that other stuff, and Guam is not that cheap. But it is, a better deal than if you had to pay for some operation or treatment. You had to be in the hospital for 5 days, a week, or whatever, or longer, something serious that, well, if you had to pay that in cash in the Philippines, although the Philippines is cheaper in some aspect than, say, America, operations might be cheaper, etc. You're still going to pay a lot in the long run. So you have to make a choice to where you want to be if an incident came up like that. Okay, so all this seemingly disenchantment with the Philippines, and I've seen. It seems like the people who could not successfully live out here are now preaching left and right about and pushing all the negative reasons of why not to live in the Philippines because it didn't work out for them. So they're trying to spite their own nose, but I don't know what they're trying to do, and lash out and say, well, thinking to themselves that fuck, it didn't work for me. I don't want it to work for anybody else. Or maybe they're just being informative and they're saying, well, hey, man, this has been my experience. And, I think twice about maybe another country or something like that. Some people mean well, but I think a lot of people are on the attack. I'm hearing this more and more, and I'm not making up this shit. I've already heard 3 shows in the course of the day that was talking about a lot of negative things about the Philippines. I get the opinion, or at least I get the feeling that it didn't work out for them because they didn't plan right, for one. And I think the Philippines has been overplayed on vloggers' videos showing the good life they're having out here. They don't talk about the bad life. No, they don't talk about that. They don't talk about the rising costs and prices, inflation out here. Because you see a lot of, if you've never been to the Philippines before, you watch all these these videos. People like myself, other people on here, well, others who I give it straight. I mean, as far as I go, I give it straight, pros and cons. But there are people who promote their life in the Philippines who are not really living a good life that they're claiming they are. And they try to promote their channel and they're trying to almost like convince themselves that they should be here. Some people feel stuck. There's a lot of reasons why people stay, but most of the reasons why they go is because they listen too much to other vloggers who were trying to only point out on their videos or uploads, how wonderful it is here. And you got nice oceans, you got some waterfalls, you can go feed the whales. And they're trying to promote the good things about Hawaii, which is good, which is a good thing to do. But are they doing all these things? Number one, and but then they start getting negative. Uh, you got a whole cast of people who are doing two things. They're either producing shows, basically trying to hide their life. Maybe they're not happy in the Philippines. They regret coming here, but they're stuck. Okay, so they spend their time basically putting down the Philippines in every way they can to satisfy themselves because they figured they made a mistake. It wasn't what they thought it would be. One guy's claiming that everybody's moving out of the Philippines. I don't know about everybody moving out of the Philippines. I'm still here. And they say that the average is a year to 2 years, and expats leave the Philippines after a year or two. Well, the reason that happens is bad planning. Maybe they don't have a solid relationship. And, it basically, it's like they're trying to operate a franchise, it's trying to make Philippines a franchise of some sort of their life where they came from. But you cannot always duplicate your life from your country when you're living in the Philippines because the culture is so different. And, language and slang and everything might have a different meaning. There's proper behavior in the Philippines, not speaking too loud, not getting verbally into an argument in public. That can cause problems. In other words, bringing yourself to the Philippines. And if you had this character where you came from, if you were loud and proud with your mouth and you were getting into fights, you were, getting into trouble all the time, abusing people, then you come here, you're going to be doing the same thing. And then you're wondering, well, why did it work out for me? But this is what's happening out here. 1,000 times I say, no matter where you go, there you are. And if you were a louse on the skin of society in the country you came from, you're going to be a louse on the skin of society over here. That's just the way it works. So I think some of the reasons that people may be leaving the Philippines or maybe reconsidered about their big quest that they planned for years to retire in the Philippines. And it could be from some of the things that are real, that they hear. Look at my situation. You know, some fucking freaked out Filipina wanted to basically get or enact revenge on me for her boyfriend who's incarcerated, right? She's trying to get me deported from here. I think people, they hear things like this. They hear the laws that you can't. Here's another. That's right. Before I even forget this, I'm already forgetting it. I'm telling you, man. Um, let's see. God dang, this was a topic matter that was just on the tip of my tongue, which is a really important thing to cover here. Ay, 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 ay. Gotta get that ginseng or something out. Okay, well, let me just find myself to that topic in a minute here as some clarity comes to my head after my thoughts are being inundated about my topic matter at the moment. The Philippines is a very complicated place, and you can't have the same expectations of your country. You're fooling yourself. Sure, you can find places to get your comfort food and all that, but you know, you do get burned out in Asia sometimes, and but then a lot of them are like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I can't go back to my country. It's so expensive, or I don't know. Maybe you've done a lot of wrong in your country. You owe child support or something or whatever. Oh, you can't go back there. There's a lot of reasons not to return, but most of them are financial because let's face it, it's not just the United States, it's not it's everywhere, man. Everything is getting so expensive. People are living in tents that they used to have some really kick-ass jobs, professional jobs. And they, the corporation or something went tits up or something, and what they had to live on at the time, if they worked long enough to get a pension, or they're old enough to get Social Security, it may not be enough to stay there. So that's why it'll come here to the Philippines and other countries. If it ain't for a woman, it's certainly financially. But then they're finding that, everything's a cash basis out here. You don't have money to go to a hospital, you're fucked. You know, you're fucked. You talk to a Filipino a certain way, you know, you know, he got a lot of surprises, Uh, it's just like a snowball going downhill, picking up more snow, inertia and everything. It's just things can happen in multitudes of ways. The people that move out here, they either get tired of bureaucracy, they don't like the politics out here, they may not like the government. Maybe some chick took you for a lot of money. Maybe you got robbed. Maybe all kinds of circumstances you may have experienced while you actually maybe were visiting here, nevertheless living here. Okay, but I'm noticing that I'm noticing a lot that people are really downplaying the Philippines now, and they're trying to convince everybody else not to move to the Philippines because it didn't work out for them. So they have this kind of I'll show you attitude. Well, Philippines, you didn't do good for me. So I'm going to do shows and tell everybody, nah, don't move there. It's a bad place because of their bad experiences, right? They're trying to prevent you from coming here because of their bad experiences. But that doesn't apply to everybody. A lot of people have been living here maybe for 20 years. They found the right partner and all that, you know. And, either find satisfaction or you don't. It's up to you if you want to stay here and if you could afford to live somewhere else. I'm sure, more than sure, that there are other places that are comparable to the Philippines as far as livability, affordability to so many countries out there. Maybe you're missing out. Slovakia, I don't know. You go to Eastern Europe in some out of the way places, where your rent is going to be practically non-existent. You'll be able to live on your low Social Security or pension. It's a big world out there. I'm sure you could find a place that you could live as well or better than the Philippines. But you got to keep the politics out of it, okay? Damn, there's a subject matter I wanted to talk about before I kind of flip out on you here from YouTube. And dang, because I get, my attention, definitely attention deficit. There's no doubt about that. Because when I'm talking about something, I'll get interrupted with another thought about something I'd like to talk about. But then when I decide to talk about the other subject, since I was so involved in the topic matter I was doing, I wind up forgetting what I was going to talk about. Well, I guess it wasn't that important, but I know it was worth talking about, and I'm trying to recall what exactly it was. Damn. Because this could be my last show, and I'd like to get it all out. And my mind and my brain is telling me that this was very worthwhile to talk about. Maybe it'll come to me, maybe it won't. I'm having my blonde moments here. Okay, so anyway, the topic, if you just came in, is the negativity. And it's not, it's also on YouTube, and that's the problem. You don't want to be around people who have negative opinions about Philippines if you're living out here. You want to make your experience the best for you and don't listen to people all the time. Base it on your own experience and your own happiness out here. But if you start listening to negative shows and negative people, either people that are attacking you or people that are doing shows putting down the Philippines, why you shouldn't be here, oh, you're going to be in trouble after a while, or you're going to burn out. Well, see, these are the burnouts that are saying that. That's the difference. These are the burnouts that are saying that. Okay? They've had bad experiences and they want to share it with you, which is good to share your experience, but who caused that experience? That's the major key question. Who would have caused that experience for you? Now, personally, I am so tired of hearing negativity on here. And I'm pretty thick skinned. I'm pretty thick skinned. But the fact is, I'm living here. And I make my own decisions on what I decide is good about the Philippines and what is not so good. But I know one thing, that if you're a wise man, you learn to settle down. Because as you're really approaching advanced stage, and if you're not already, you will need to settle down somewhere, I guarantee you. You're not that young man, footloose and fancy free that you think you are or that you were. I could do a lot of things. There's some things I can't do as well anymore. I'm not going to walk up a big hill, but I could walk miles and miles and miles and not really be terribly out of breath at all, even as a smoker. So that's amazing to me. Actually, it is. It is amazing to me, actually. I don't know how I do it, but I do. I must be doing something right. But it's the negativity. It's not, man, it's just not in the Philippines here. It's not just from YouTubers, man, but that's why you have to find your little niche in life, because as you get older, because believe me, you're going to need somebody who will indeed go from lover to being your caretaker. I guarantee that. That's something that you really need to be thinking about. No, I don't suggest that you come here just to have a caretaker. I would not advise that, because that's not really enough reason to be here. It's part of the process of you getting older, and you're going to need possibly, I mean, I met a guy that was 91 the other day, 3 days ago. You heard me right, 91. A guy from Britain. He's always walking around the streets all the time. Takes care of himself. I don't think he has a caretaker. I think he lives alone. And he's getting along just fine. But that's him. His physiology and everything might be different than yours or mine. But I think there comes a time when you really have to settle. No one says you have to, but you can't be a nomad all your life. I mean, you could, but that generally doesn't work out after a while. Now, Philippines was a very competitive place to live. If you really, in the past, certainly, when there was a big influx of people moving to the Philippines, and it became even more extreme, the big migration here, certainly when social media came out, computers and social media, internet and all that. Then it changed drastically. People were doing commentaries on, they might have had their own website or something starting off and doing commentaries about places that they traveled to and all that, So then things became easier, You got all of a sudden social networks came in, and people got involved with the social networks, such as YouTube and Twitter and all that was available, all the way to TikTok, every damn thing you could think of, every platform in the world. So people were more communicative now, and they could share their thoughts, whether positive or negative. And they were really a wealth, and they still are, a wealth of information, absolute wealth of information. But you're not always getting the right information. That's the problem. You wind up listening to these people who had very negative experiences in Southeast Asia, trying to convince you that you're going to have the same experience. Not if you planned being here. Not if you had somebody permanent to be with. That's a whole different story. If you got a home to live in that you own, you're never going to be on the streets. You're never going to have to pay rent. Some people say, well, yeah, don't buy a house because your chick is going to get it, your wife, your girlfriend. Well, you already know that when you buy the house. You already knew that. You'd have to be deaf, dumb, and blind not to know that. But you see, it doesn't just serve your Filipina for the present and the future, but it serves yourself. You don't worry about rent. If you went on hard times, you're going to have a roof over your head. If you're that broke, maybe you can't pay the electricity or something or pay for the internet, but you're going to have a safe roof over your head and a good bed to sleep in. So there are a lot of positives for foreigners who plan to stay out here. They're not nomads now, to purchase a property. I wouldn't suggest a condo, really. But you can find livable houses here, and you can find livable property. Maybe it's not going to have all the bells and whistles. Maybe not. And it's no big deal if you have to take a ferry or something to a bigger city to get some supplies and the kind of comfort foods that you are used to eating, would like to eat. Look at it as a small adventure. Go to the big city. Sorry, I gotta put some water in my dog's bowl here. People seem to forget that around here, that the dogs need water. I'm always the one filling up. It's all right, I'll give them shit later on, after this show. Same speech. Don't wait for me. Same thing as locking the doors around here. Yeah, there are frustrations out here with Filipinos. There certainly is. Look, that should have been washed and put away. Well, that's nothing. You gotta see what's in the sink sometimes. Garbage in a bag out here from kitchen stuff. Put it outside in the bags. That's just a bugaboo. Oh, see, you're thirsty. She knew I had water, and look at this. She right away, she's taken to the water, and I'm going to do it live. I'm going to say it right here. By the way, the dog was really thirsty, and the dog dish had no water in it, and I think everybody in this house has a responsibility of checking the dish. If there's no water in it, you should know. The dogs are thirsty just like we are. So I went there, and the dish was totally dried out. So I put water in the dish, and immediately Ginger came over and started drinking the water because she was really thirsty. So I'm going to make a very polite suggestion. Well, your kids are not here in front of me, but I'm going to tell them too, is to please don't wait for me, don't wait for the kids, and the kids shouldn't wait for you, and they shouldn't wait for me to put water in the dog's dish. End of speech. We'll end it there. I'll continue with the rest of the show, and that's pretty much going to be a finality, I think, for me, is don't necessarily listen to the negativity that people put out. See, both of them were thirsty. One's waiting for the other right now. And this is what I mean. They're not always the most responsible people out here, as you will find, and that's like part of the gripes that people talk about, like the bureaucracy is you're going to wait in an office for hours and hours, or you never get an appointment or something like that. Well, that is true. That is true. They see the dog is thirsty, right? And the other one's waiting for the other. And it's pet peeves like this, and pet is right. It's pet peeves like this that really irritate me. And you don't find something that's going to irritate you out here. I'm just going to tell you ahead of time, so you know. But it's not just here. It's anywhere you may decide to move to another country. It's not your same culture. What you were experiencing and everything might have went your way in the country you came from, other than maybe financially, or you couldn't find women, whatever the reasons you wanted to move out, you found a way to get along with the system, the bureaucracy in the country that you were in at the time. So what makes you think it's going to be that much different moving here? There's always something that is something that's going to irritate the shit out of you. All you can do is bite your tongue. Or use your tongue and talk and say, look, these dishes shouldn't be in the sink. It could attract bugs. Maybe it's smelling. Or if you have pets, like I just did, and I just told Gilda very politely, and I said, the dogs, their dish was bone dry. Who is waiting for the other to fill the dish with water? I'm always the one that's filling the dish with water. When they're thirsty, they go to the dispenser and they get their water. They put a bottle in the refrigerator with cold water and they drink it. Dogs can't do that for themselves. That's my point. Don't expect perfection in this country because you're going to be fooling yourself. There is no perfection in this country. But the way things are going in the world now, there is no perfection anywhere else. So, what you need to do is find a positive in your life, no matter where you live. Philippines, I don't care where. Europe, I don't care where. You got to find a positive reasons for being there. Look for the good. Stop concentrating on the bad. Because you're going to get burned out in a couple of years or less. I guarantee you. What keeps me out here is the fact that I'm grounded. A very important word. Underline it. Grounded. Got the house. I'm living in the community I like. I got the partner. It's not all fairy tale, but it's as close of a fairy tale you're going to get out here. And I'm being honest with you. You got to have the right elements to keep you here. Because quite frankly, I would not be here for getting close to 10 years in February or whatever it's been. Not right on the nose, but let's just say 10 years, February, I don't know. If I did not have a permanent woman, partner, lover, friend, confidant that I have, I would not be able to last a year. I'll guarantee you I wouldn't last a year. If I came here just blindfolded and thinking, everything's going to work out. If I didn't have somebody lined up to meet, and as it turned out, I was in the Philippines already when I met the woman I'm with now. However, that doesn't always work out for everybody that way. You hear all these YouTubers on there that they're screwing around with all these women. Well, first of all, a lot of them are full of shit. I'm getting it all out tonight. A lot of them are full of shit. If anything, they're paying for the company. And that can't last forever because their funds will run out. If they're on vacation doing this, they only got so much money to buy how many whores to drink or to get laid. A lot of them don't even get laid. But they're going to tell you, like Jay does, that he's getting laid left and right when he's not. As an example, as one example. Okay? A lot of lies go on here. And some of you buy it and buy into this shit. We had another guy that come from Kentucky that went to Thailand. He was there for 7 months in that one place and a month or two in Vietnam. It didn't work out for him. He found himself eating ramen from 7-Eleven all the time because he was spending what money he had coming in for his disability or whatever, Social Security, on companionship with a woman, and not necessarily carnal. It was just somebody to talk to get rid of that loneliness, and had to hide behind this facade where he was just fooling himself to think he was going to be happy out there. But it didn't turn out well for him, and he had to go back home. Of course, he said, I was just on vacation. No, that wasn't the case. He was seriously trying to get out of America and settle down in Southeast Asia, but he couldn't make it. But you see, that's not what he's going to tell you, of course. It's not what he's going to tell you. They're all they're kidding themselves. Now, I recognize a lot of crazy things out here. I mean, I really do. There's a lot of crazy shit out here, man. Culturally, there's so many things that are different. And truthfully, you got to be careful how you act out here. You got to be careful what you say out here to locals. It could be slang language you're using, which may come out to them as being some kind of an insult. And you also don't do what a lot of vloggers do. You just don't walk up to somebody's house you don't even fucking know and start talking to their daughter or something, or kind of push yourselves on these people. They're too, I don't know, is that right? Conservative, I guess? They're too conservative for that. They're not used to some stranger from another country approaching their house. They don't know who they are, what they're going to do. You can't get in people's face that you don't know out here. But I can name numerous people that do that, and they do it just to create a show. And eventually they're going to get themselves fucking stabbed or killed or shot or something, or find themselves dismembered in a fucking river or an ocean sometime. You got guys on here doing shows, trying to convince themselves of how much they love being out here, they love the Filipino, they love the country. But they're talking shit about the Philippines all the time, trying to mask it. And they can't mask it. They find themselves, one guy on here comes from Britain, has a show, and he's living in Mindanao, and he's got a wife out here and has a baby, and now she's pregnant again. He can't leave if he wants. I mean, he could leave, but he really can't, really. He's got a responsibility now. He's got a big responsibility. But is he really enjoying his experience out here? I'm getting the feeling that he's not. Okay? And they're trying to fool themselves to think that, hey man, this is like the best place in the world for me, and I know all these people, and they're always emailing me, and people asking me advice, and they're all full of shit. There's nobody emailing them all the time. There's not people calling them up for advice. We had Philippines Information Channel Steve. He did the same shit. The only time he saw people is when they had these little events where some expats would get together. That's all that ever happened with him. Then he got overwhelmed with all the people attacking him on his show for all his faults, and all his bullshit and all his lies and all his made-up stories. And I could name numerous people on here that just come up with totally false stories just to do a show. Then you got the idiots like Philly in the Philippines who are always doing clickbait. These idiots come here to have a better life, but he finds himself living in a swamp, and the guy makes buku money every month on his YouTube, and he's crying all the time, and he brings his family into a less than desirable living situation in a deep province area, which basically actually has real small swamps there full of mosquitoes and dengue, and he's laying tile on his floors, and now he's got to do all the walls, and they don't really own the place. And people make big mistakes where they live, and sometimes they don't know where to live, because this guy's wife got robbed when they were living in Angeles City, and they got all scared, but it wasn't just for that. It was his behavior. It was him walking around the streets just like Scotty, shoving his fucking camera in people's faces that don't want to be videotaped. Leave me alone. I didn't give you my permission to photograph me. And sometimes they get into situations where they get slapped or punched or beat the shit out of. Shoving camera, and me, who was somebody who was very deep into photography and photographing people, and I've talked about this before, I just did not walk up to anybody and shove my camera in their face. I let them know what I was doing, really. Still photographs, not video. And, I'd even get to know the person to understand their personality or something about them. So if I really wanted to concentrate on the character of this person and bring it out on an image, that's what I would do. There would be times I'd even sit down with the person, find out what they're all about. Let them feel comfortable with me. Let them feel comfortable in front of my camera lens because they spent time talking to me. And I got loads of wonderful pictures I called, just character shots, of people, which is my forte, basically. I really thought landscapes and seascapes were going to be my forte, but it turned out to be character shots of people, and I really enjoyed it. But you don't shove a camera in your face, and you don't walk in Angeles City or anywhere in the Philippines and think you could shove your camera in somebody's face. They may not like it. You may get the shit beat out of you. or you may get a tongue lashing from them, And a lot of these people do that for the sake of their audience, for the sake of their algo fucking rhythms, and fuck the algorithms, for the sake of getting subs and views. Fucking sick fucks. That's why the foreigners are getting a bad reputation in this country, because the sick fucks that move here, the sick fucks that do YouTube shows on here, all the sick fucks, perverted fucks, real pedophiles, real losers in every which way. They come here and spoil it for the rest of us. Of course, we're not going to be looked at very nicely by the local population when these women are getting used and abused all the time. Now, the families are starting to wake up now. Things are changing a little bit. It's changing. The parents or relatives of these young girls are getting a little more inquisitive, and they want to know who is it you're seeing. They want to know all about them. Okay, they're getting a little savvy now. They're getting a little savvy, just like when the Hunts brothers in America back in the 70s cornered the silver market. Very illegally they did this so they can make money on their tons of silver that they purchased. And it drove the price of silver through the roof, and henceforth gold followed. Okay, I was very savvy of that. I knew how to find something in a junk shop that was made of sterling. I learned a lot. Now, where am I going with this? Okay. Here's an example of attention deficit disorder for sure. I'll admit it. But a lot of people I notice have that too on here. They go from one topic to another, or they forget what they're saying. It's old age, whatever. I don't know what the fuck it is, but my long-term memory is so good, so good. It's so good. But short-term, sometimes, if I'm really deep into a topic, I'm going to be deep into that topic. And if something comes to my mind, if I didn't finish the topic, I'll forget, like I just did, What was it I was just going to talk about? It was important to me. And God damn it, I wish I really could remember that. That happens to me a lot. I admit it. It happens to me a lot. It happens to my girlfriend a lot too, forgetting about something we just talked about or something, But, yeah, if you want to make Philippines your home, it's not a bad place. But you are going to have to deal with a lot of different aspects of the culture, religion, and so forth and everything out here that is so different from where you live, even down to the food and practices, some really very, very bizarre things and what they believe in, and witches, and it's all kinds of stuff. These people here are old school. It's the best way I could describe it. They're old school, and they have very acquired beliefs from past cultures that they carry on to modern day, whether it's religious beliefs, cultural beliefs, everything from spirits, witch doctors, all this stuff. I mean, they really, even down to nature and medicine too, what's good for you. They have a lot of knowledge though, but some of the stuff you might find is very bizarre, really bizarre. So you got to know that, and don't knock them for it. They may do something that you think is totally ridiculous, but it's part of the culture, and you decide to move here, you got to be part of the culture, or just don't come here at all. Because you are going to find a lot of things, if you're impatient like me, and I'm really impatient, I'll tell you that. I'll admit that. I've never been a very patient person for anything, and I do mean anything. That could be a problem for you. You want to open up a bank account, you might be in there for 4 hours. You might want to go to a governmental office for something, for visa or whatever it might be. And you might be there half the day, so pack your lunch. If you've experienced it before, you're going to know better. Bring a pillow. Hopefully near some stores, you can get some beverages to drink. Buy a snack. You should all notice. If you've been out here for a while, you know how the system works out here. So there's other countries to consider. And if you're finding that much problem, or you're going to listen to these nut jobs on here who totally just desecrate, totally put down the Philippines because They had bad experiences. Well, hey, I've had some bad experiences out here. I'm going through one right now. Okay? I'm still here. As far as I know, I'm not going anywhere. And even after such, and that blows over, I'm not going anywhere either. This is my home. I realize all the bugaboos about the Philippines, and I admit it. Nothing's perfect, like I gave you some small examples. Personal habits of people. They don't wash their dishes after they eat. They should. The kids should be doing that to help out. Don't leave it all in mom's hands or your dad or stepdad's hands. Get my point? I gave an example a little earlier that, because I happen to really love my dogs. And I find this all the time. That the dog's bowl is dry and they are parched. The dogs are thirsty. And that sets me off. I had to fill the dish because they're waiting for somebody else to do it. And this happens at the end of the night too. When we decide to go to bed, I have to wind up locking all the doors because they're expecting maybe us to do it, me or my girlfriend. Actually, she might be expecting me to do it too. Does she always go there and check to make sure all the locks, double locks are locked, the doors are locked, the screens are locked? She doesn't always do that. I wind up having to do it. So yes, there are things that can irritate the bejeebers out of you. But you got to understand, teach them well. Okay? If they're not learning, sit them down and teach them. Tell them, hey, I got a problem with this. Can you help me out with it? Don't have to yell at them. Just tell them, the goddamn fucking dog's dish is dry. Why is it me that's always filling it up? Do they not think that the dogs need their water? Yeah. And I just did this live. I wasn't yelling at Gilda or nothing. I was very nicely telling him. I said, hey, I'm on here. Let you know I'm doing it live, but I'm going to tell you. Why is it me that had to fill the dog's dish up with water? I got 2 dogs that go in that one bowl. The water can go fast. They need to drink water as well as we do. In fact, I need a drink of water. Talking about this, actually. And yes, there are bugaboos even about the Filipinos out here that'll drive you fucking crazy. The tampo, all that shit. But you should know all that already. Because you're supposed to, before you move here, do all that investigation and experience it for yourself and see if that's something that you can handle. So don't start bitching and whining about a lot of these different things because you're going to experience it just like I do. I got a lot of bugaboos about the house. Sometimes nobody's willing to clean the floor. Kids don't unless you tell them to. But we've been surprised a few times where they voluntarily did that. But usually they need a little nudging, okay? And sometimes they'll help with the dishes, but the problem is you're going to wind up doing the dishes yourself. You know why? Because they don't really know how to do the dishes. I found many times crusty plates, forks, knives, glasses that were encrusted with dry food. All those, they turn the water on, take the spoon, go, throw it, or the water's still dripping. They're not even dripping the water out from the dish thing into the sink. They're putting it in the dish pan, and it's got so much water on it, it's dripping into the pan. That's going to lay there. It's going to be stagnant, and with the warm air and moisture, it creates bacteria. And how many times I've had to take the dish pan thing apart, the dish rack rather, to clean it myself with chlorine or vinegar. Yeah, there's a lot of bugaboos, man, that goes with a relationship, that goes with a Filipino family, that goes with living in the Philippines, that goes with governmental offices to get things done. I mean, you will drive yourself crazy unless you learn to adjust with it. It may not be a place for everybody, but you are going to have to think about what you want to do when you come out here. And please, please stop listening to people about, oh, the cost of living and how much you can live here. It's all individualistic in what your lifestyle is. That's all you have to say. You don't have to go into a big speech with that. I don't have to go into a big speech with that. You know, if you like to chase ass, it's going to cost you money. If you like buying drinks for women, it's going to cost you money. Might cost you for dinner too. I could get more elaborate, but then I'd be doing a whole show on that, the bugaboos of that too. And it's been covered here more times than I care to hear myself talk about, and I care to hear anybody else talk about, is that subject of the cost of living in the Philippines, where they don't know what to talk about. We got guys that have been on here for a whole decade. Some real famous ones on here. You know all the names. And you've heard them talk about it 1,000 times, but then you bring it up to them. Well, you know, there are new people that come on my channel that maybe don't know these things. And I'll say something like, well, you know, you're boring the shit out of the regulars that come to your channel. What's more important, your regulars or the newbie that comes in? You got to go through the whole speech again about the cost of living. Don't you get tired of that? Well, you can't state what the cost of living is there. It's impossible. Every time you walk into some store, the price went up. So you can't really say. You don't regulate the prices here. The stores do. The government does. Whatever. You know, the price of a broom yesterday could be different today. Yeah, today. You know, supplies you get. Maybe the restaurants you eat at, where you bought a nice salad, it costs you 295 pesos one day. You come back a week later, it's maybe up to 325 or 350. I can't quote. It's impossible for me to quote how much money you need to live out here. It's really dependent on your situation. How many people are in your family? Okay? You know, are you paying rent or do you own your own house? It makes a difference. It makes a difference to me, I can tell you that. I don't mind having a house at all. Call it both of ours, call it hers. I don't care what you call it. Or who you say owns the fucking house. I'm not paying no fucking rent, Jack. And the house was meant for her anyway. I'm not losing out on a house if I croak. It was meant to be hers anyway. And if I saw it as a problem, then that would be my problem. Not some troll who says, yeah, Frank's a simp. He bought her a house. Ha 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 ha. He's not even married to her. Ha ha ha. Hey, don't complain. It's not your money. It's my money. Get my point? Get my drift? It's my money. And I do with my money what I want to do with my money. It's not yours to spend. And it's not your position to tell me what to do with my fucking money. Okay? I'm happy where I'm at. I'm happy who I'm with. That's all that matters. I'm having a good life. Thank you very much. Why can't you be more positive and say, yeah, like some of my viewers do, not all of them, but it ain't going to come from a troll. Then I realized that even though we give Frank a lot of shit, and we try to paint him as a bad guy having a horrible life, the fact is, a lot of them wish they had my life. And that's a fact. They just don't want somebody to be happy when they're not happy. When they didn't achieve what I did for living out here, owning a home, having a fantastic, well, great relationship, really. We have our little bugaboo moments like anybody else does in another country. It's not perfect every single second, but I'll tell you what, it's as near perfect as it's ever going to fucking be. I can tell you that. I'll speak up when I have to speak up. I'm never going to lay a hand on her, ever. I'm not like that. And she is not in a prison and doesn't have a ball and chain on her. She can walk anytime she wants or kick my ass out anytime she wants. Anytime. She doesn't need my money. That's the beauty for her. She don't need my money. She don't need it. Because she's got her own. So if I'm here, it's not a booby prize. Well, it's not because I got a big dick that she keeps me here. It's not any of that. She likes me being with her. She happens to have feelings for me. This is not an arranged relationship like some people have out there and have more than one woman, have kids with other women. display their women in bars, fucking petting their tits, and sending the mistress out on the dance floor to dance with your wife in a sexual way, which is the most pathetic thing, the most disrespectful thing I've ever witnessed. So 10 years I've been on YouTube. It is the most disrespectful thing I have ever seen. Sorry, I'm old school, and I'm proud being old school. I would never display my lady that way. You can make all the excuses in the world. You did it for attention or you were drunk. I would never, don't ever tell me, motherfuckers, that you love that woman. If you're going to be in a bar and you're going to be rubbing your tits through her clothing, nevertheless, and you're going to have your wife go up with the mistress and dance very sexually with another woman, the mistress, on the floor, and have a baby with the fucking mistress. Sick fucks. Sick fucks. And that's my show.